Now at the moment. You can hear me though, right? I'm fixing a camera issue at the moment. Okay, cool. At least I know that works. Cool.
Hello and welcome into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You are watching our coverage of Week 7 ECAC Collegiate Valorant League. Tonight, Boise State is looking to pick up a win against Ball State. Both teams are tied 5-1, so it'll definitely be a hard-fought match to see who can distinguish themselves and go 6-1 versus who's going to lose and go 5-2. I am your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, and joining me tonight are Brenner, Bear, Ladd, and Rick Rad tonight here to cast Valorant with us. And I have to ask, before we get in, just because all of these teams are tied with a 5-1 record, how do you distinguish yourself to become that 6-1 team instead of the losing 5-2 team?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Oh, you're gonna give me? It's okay. We're gonna have that. We're gonna have that pleasant intro. But again, it's a pleasure to be here for a second opportunity. We're gonna be doing Valorant though, like you mentioned. And honestly, the thing that's really going to be able to differentiate, personally, at least from my observation, when it comes to a 5-1 scoreline, is reactivity and the ability to read your opponent and just be able to in the moment strategize, because you can be able to lay out a foundation, lay out a plan ahead of time, but if you cannot be in a game like Valorant reactive in the moment and have those lightning fast trigger action fingers and just moments that can really change the tide, you're going to find yourself falling short. You have to be on your A game at all times, because even the slightest mishap can be the most cataclysmic end.
And what are the most important things that you need to react to in Valorant?
I mean, Bear, if you want to take that one, or do you want me to go ahead and continue, either or?
Definitely be the rotations of the enemy team and what they are up to, and kind of keeping track of both the economy of the situation, because if you start off in early rounds, you know how it's going to go based off of the way the rounds go. But it's definitely saying, like, all right, we're pushing A and there's only 2 people here. That tells us 3 are on B. We need to expect these people to rotate to this point, so we need to take it quickly, which is where you want to have those reactions as quick as possible. This is, fast-paced FPS where it's the one-shot headshot, so you need to have those fast reaction times of, if you push an angle and you check it at 45 and they're 90, you need to be able to hit those flick headshots as quickly as possible.
And so, just to remind you guys, the ECAC Collegiate Valorant League is a 5v5, best of 3, first to 13, and offense and defense swaps after the 12th round here for both of these teams. So as we're looking at this, what are you expecting to come out from both of these teams tonight, who are really trying to pick up a win here, Rick Rad?
I mean, when it comes to, I'm really going to be focusing on, because I've not had a chance to see as many of these teams as frequently, I'm definitely going to be looking at just their util control, how they're able to manage to enter in onto a site, as well as also just that throughput of post plant. A lot of the times we look to see, how there's so much emphasis on their entry, their ability to enter, and, Barry, even as you mentioned, when it comes to the earlier portions of the game, how is their pistol round going to be for those types of entries, and then the evolution throughout to play more of that post plant. And just this ebb and flow between that transition is so critical, because that's also one of the things I'm really looking forward to, is to see these teams in front of us and start to really understand their methodology. It's going to give me that understanding of, okay, is this more of a defensive post plant kind of a team, or are they more of the attacking kind of aggressor that looks to like to play into a post plant? So all these different things can really start to unfold, especially because you're looking at 2 teams that are right there, even keel, 5-1, and they have to really make those differentiators to better advance themselves to have that 6-1 scoreline versus the other finding the 2-5.
And in addition to all of this, we actually have Doc's keys to the game, which will help both of these 5-1 teams try to go to 6-1 here. And Doc's keys to the game in Valorant, it's to focus angles and to flank. Know your win conditions, count cards / call abilities, and to click heads. And Doc's keys to the game are brought to us by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has just the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. And so tell us more about these specific Doc's keys to the game, Brenner.
Yeah, so this is this is something we definitely want to focus on, is calling abilities as we get ready to jump into this match. And the first map is Ascent as well, which is a map we've seen Boise play before very consistently. We know that they do very well on it. And going up against our previous opponents from last week of James Madison, these early rounds were very crucial to Boise State because we actually started losing them to James Madison. So going up against higher tier enemy, he's something that Boise State's going to need to capitalize on to consistently win these early rounds, because that's what they've been known for.
As we do see again, it will be Boise State on the attack. Correction, it will be Ball State on the attack first, with Boise State defending. And you can already see that Panda's coming out swiftly with a nice Sheriff pickup, looking to transition in towards this middle position. And the interesting thing is there's not really too much coverage or utility being focused into this middle position, giving access for Ball State.
Yeah, and just an extra layer to confuse us that much more is Ball State has the BSU tag on most of their players, whereas Boise State doesn't. So it's just going to be BSUs everywhere. So sorry in advance if we do confuse them, but we will try our best. But already with Ball State being +1 in this attack, you can see how they're just surrounding that B point. Poor old Killjoy is getting surrounded. But it seems they're just going to dash right at the point.
Ooh, they're going to try and push in. Nice even exchange, though. Still numbers advantage here for Ball State, pressuring on over to this B position. There is a little bit of a rotation here, but look at the hidden position coming out from Panda, acknowledging that TN is there. Looks to try and get the trade, but still manages to go in favor of Boise. Gets a nice small upgrade here with the Sheriff to transition, but acknowledges the door is closed, and now is the sole remaining player to try and compete against these three, who are going to easily be able to hold angles as the smoke dissipates. But nice evasion, though, of the light there.
Yeah, both birds able to land, and then as soon as they took that turnaround, get taken down by Dreammaker. So Boise State actually in the red. But a very clean first round with Sky and those birds nailing both of them. Been very consistent on that agent.
And as we do take a look here at that round post, again, this is going to be, Boise State having to play a little bit more reserve here, going to actually get a couple of shorties. They're looking for more of this close range engagement. Hasn't really done, too much with the light armor. Only going to be one picked up here, so this is giving Ball State the advantage. So leading into this, my expectations is more so for Boise to try and at least hinder some of the economy, but also be able to maybe pick up a couple of guns themselves if they get those early close range engagement with these shorties. As you can see, that Boise State already going to get eliminated for one, but a nice trade there for an opportunity.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having the Spectres going up against those classics, but still able to trade 1 for 1, losing that chamber for the Jet. It's definitely in the favor of, I personally think, Boise, because they still have their Jet online. They still have the map mobility to maintain the pressure against Ball State, where they have a pretty solid A push going in. 2 members of Ball State are all the way over on B, just kind of backing to back. So they have yet to rotate over to try to answer the aggression from Boise so far.
No charges.
With this just clustered position now, still going to have 2 residing over by the B point. This is going to be such a hard position to really recover, since you do have now this aggression forward. Boise going to press in as they do try and get some damage here. Does actually get 1-2 onto the flanker, so it is a 4 versus 3 plant going to come through, and now the post plant becomes active. 2 up onto this catwalk. Panda still trying to keep a decent sight line to try and compete against this. Does get blocked slightly, but there is some intel knowing where Ball State is up top. Panda gets a clever pick up there from down below. Gets the second even with the wall bang. Wants the third, but comes up short, with Swooty now going to try and posture forward. Does manage to prevent the guiding light from getting too much of a full blind, and actually gets another here.
It's clean. Yeah, taking the engage even when the bullets are still flying with the super short. He has to push hell now. Gets the shot, but doesn't have the damage. So Jabal come away with it and pick up as many guns as you can. They have those Vandals now, so Boise State's econ is looking very well, but at the same time, Ball State saved a lot that round.
And you can see the replay here again. Really, really well played. Holding that farther back positioning, allowing Panda to get the better end of this exchange, making it a lot more challenging for Ball State to pressure into it. Again, still have to give also credit, though, because they did manage to get 2, so it ruins and hinders a little bit of the eco. But as we continue now to get into this third round, still in favor of Boise State, they have something to work with as an advantage, and curious to see how Ball State's going to react.
Yeah, Jabal with his utilities has just been nailing them again and again. And of course, as soon as they say that, they lose the dog in that quick burst, but look how spread out Boise is with trying to determine where they want to attack, see if Ball State might get a little overly aggressive and give away a key position. But Panda exchanging some early bullets over on that right cubby side with that brimstone. But no damage was exchanged, so this time Boise State taking a lot slower on the attack.
And you can see now pressing forward, Boise State going in. Smoke comes out from overhead. Does actually get sought
Ball
out.
State taking down Panda, so that's the jet down. They do lose their speed and also lose Jabal, quickly followed by J-Bag going down, but Dreammaker comes back, able to pick up at least one, but now in a 4v2 situation. Things are not looking good for Boise State. Now it's a 4v1. At this point, Dreammaker might just want to stay alive, but runs immediately into 2 members, and that was a clean round for Ball State.
And we also have to really just kind of acknowledge, too, the compositional difference here when it comes to Ball State, because more often than not, we don't typically have, you know, this brimstone. That's something that hasn't really been as more so valuable inside of the typical meta that we've seen from the VCT, whether it's going to be the EMEA or the NA. So, you know, having this type of alternative, feeling a little bit more confident, those smokes on control, that's where you see it come in a little bit, you know, late, but it's still going to gain value because they're holding these angles. And now that you at least have a point on the board for Ball State, they've managed to get a little bit of eco into their pocket and are looking to still potentially reside towards economically with a lot of utility towards this B position, having more dominant numbers through this mid and A position.
Yeah, Panda getting on the aggressive with the Jettle, able to pick up one onto Swooty, so that's the Sova down. And they have mid control, immediately rotating over to B to try to take that hallway, which is a big point of contention. Jacorn trying to scout out, able to find 2, both of the Chamber and the Sova, so he's pushing an angle he's not going to be too comfortable with, especially with the Chamber being right there at his feet. Doesn't even look down and gets it.
I mean, that's such a ballsy play coming out from Jacorn, but gets so much value with it, and again makes it an even score, 4-4. Now this heavy rotation comes in through Boise.
Look how stacked up they are.
Yeah, I mean they're just going to be ready to rush into this, and it's going to be a lot to overwhelm onto this position. Jacorn now is going to get a decent trade still and gets 2, mind you.
Yeah, he was on a triple, and Ball State comes in and cleans it up very fast. Boise State, as you mentioned, they were stacked up. They were going for a very aggressive push, but just couldn't execute on the eliminations and just got totaled.
You can take a look at it one more time here again, looking to try and draw back and play as they stack up. And honestly, just being able to play that corner and get the wall bang for the 2 gave them a really, really great opportunity. The guiding light came through to attempt to block the sightlines, but because of that more reserved backline position, Jacorn just completely denies the opportunity of its value and is able to get that nice cleanup.
Yeah, and that whole time Panda still had 3 of the Shurikens left on their ult, so they could still just try to push up with it, but they chose to go in with the gun and still miss those shots due to the crouch of the KO, who now has their ult.
Oh.
And the Operator's on round 5?
I mean, that was a real close corner peek with an op and still getting value for it.
I wonder if
I
they
was
were
a
even
little
scoped in, or it was just pure hip fire panic.
I think it might have just been. It really might have. We don't have the full view of it, but I could honestly anticipate that that was probably what happened.
Big respect if it was just hip fire, just, oh gosh, like they're there. But now 2 ultimates on the side of Boise and 2 for the side of Ball. They do have their jet, so they might be able to capitalize on it a bit harder, but with the Sobel, they can defend that spike if they get it down.
And they do have some intel. Again, hostile detected, tossing out the dagger to see where they're going to push to. And because you've got the man down on the side of Boise State, you have to be super cautious in how you press this. Still looking to try and move into B. I think they've acknowledged that B has been more reduced in player and opting for the higher util. They go into the nano swarm though, and they're just gonna soak damage from Parker and just completely allow this to turn on its head. Boise State now left to 1. The Chamber play all that remains, and they've got the tour de force, and that's so tough that you lose the value of this because there were so many that went down early between these 2.
Yeah, Chamber losing the sniper battle to the Ball State Jet, who finished that round out with a triple, no less. I don't think Boise State was ready for a round 5 operator coming out.
No. I mean, at this point, they've played economically really well. They had 2 rounds to recover, just had enough to even more so go for the operator and sacrifice the armor or even the sidearm that they would look to invest in. And I think that's one of those things that was really critical. But again, you're walking into a nanoswarm, which is just devastating. There's no way that you can get out of that when you're already halfway into it and didn't scout it out before its use.
Especially when there was 2 enemies of Ball State ready in the pit for you, and you just still commit to it and couldn't even get 1. That's definitely a huge loss for Boise State. But you can see how much they're stacking up right into that Brimstone Incendiary.
Yeah, the Brimstone's not going to get overwhelmed. You have to see an entire rotation coming out from Ball State. But I do like this aggression. Shells up front trying to take Hell down below to make sure that they can have some presence as the smoke dissipates. The spike's going to come through, transitioning into the post plant. And the other part of it is, too, is the fact that you do have the lockdown is going to give some massive agency here to Ball State to try and recontest. And they actually have managed to take the advantage.
I don't think they got the spike. Didn't even get down. They had point pressure, but weren't able to secure it with the Killjoy coming out from Ball State, even using the KO ult to maintain. Now Boise State brought out the Sova ult and doesn't get any value from it. So in a 2v4 situation, especially with operators, this might be a Ball State round.
Yeah, I figured by just looking at the usage of the Hunter's Fury, I feel like it was a little bit of an overcommitment. They've already managed to force out the Killjoy, you know, to zone out with that ultimate. You have the lockdown available. The smoke is still in the doorway. You've got the 2 operators. There's no need to convert and use that Hunter's Fury. So again, little small details, but the only reason why I harp on that more so is because we talked about when you're a team that's 5-1, it's these little micro plays that you really want to pay close attention to, just because it allows you to understand how that could potentially affect in the long run. And so far, Ball State, despite overcommitments, they have managed to take the lead here.
Yeah, as you mentioned, being a 5-1 team, this is where you have to get more and more critical of those little nitpicky things, because to maintain, 5-1, soon to be 6-1 lead, hopefully, you got to be on your A game right now. And it seems TN is looking for another triple with this operator. Finds the dog, scouts out, but arrow will go down.
Shock.
It's a lot of damage on him. Even tries with the Sheriff, but manages to survive. Will get healed up thanks to the Sky and the ult orb, trying to get that Sova back up.
I would definitely say that was overzealous, but, for a Jet player, that's not something that's too surprising, as there's a nice angle hold here by
also
the head
does
hunters.
have their ult, so they could definitely try to go for it again.
They could. Panda now going to get sought out into the middle position. Does digress back just slightly, as there's still 3 over by the B position. There's surprisingly not really a lurk here coming through by Ball State, which is, again, held by Shells. So good on this defensive position here to not over-aggress forward just yet, because they know that middle position is capitalized on. And even the spike hasn't come through. Nice pickup, though, from Ball State. And you're going to have to see Boise start to take an action, as it's a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, I'm surprised Chamber 1 then, with having the pistol going up against the Phantom, as TN now set up on the beat, able to take down Dreammaker. Now Swooty taking down J-Bag. Jabal kind of cornered, even stuck reloading.
Oh no! The sidearm comes out by TN. Again, I have to give major props here for at least the Ball State Jet play, because the awareness to transition between both the sniper and the sidearm to get that cleanup towards the end of it, they've had a really, really impactful value going into these defensive positions. And, with Boise State, they are really holding their angles, just like, the major things from Doc, like they say in Valorant, focus your angles, watch the flanks, and make sure that you've got yourself covered. It's working out. But when these trades are happening against a Jet player like TN on the main point, it's really, really challenging to try and work through that. And that's what I want to see, is just this focus on maybe getting a little bit better at these exchanges.
Yeah, because it's just been such a huge econ lead for Ball State, because it's been consistent, 4v2 situations, just like that. Gets the shot and immediately dashes away, gets another one.
And again, this Jet play has just been on point right now for Ball State. That's really been the key factor. And I almost would like to see, nice trade though to get that, almost like to see a little bit more of a hesitancy going into these positions, just to try and draw some of the clock down from Boise. But again, it is a 3 versus 3. They're not out of this yet. And they do still have the advantage here, because you do have one on the opposing side. But what a flash to come through to get the advantage onto
As soon as he went into the
Dreammaker.
drone, just went right in the angle.
Yep. managed to get the value over by Wines. So now with the 2 remaining for Boise State, it's now at this point just really needing to watch to see if there's a rotation. I do believe Dagger came through, causing a little bit of suppression. Guiding Light up the choke point to see if they can maybe get some momentum forward, but they got to hurry up. There's only 30 seconds left.
Oh, perfect timing as he looks away.
30 seconds
That's
left.
an operator down. Pick it up.
Now looking to try and see. Has to be cautious, though. They do know that there's one still here. They do have the Trailblazer to peek the corner, trying to find value. Jumps forward. They have at least acknowledged, but shells go down. It's only going to be J-Ball trying to press out. The spike is still around the corner. Manages to get it. 12 seconds now to go. Has to rush back onto A. Plant it! They just have to plant it since there's nobody close enough. They should be able to get it.
Heaven.
Oh, no.
It's a huge pinch. Timing. Ooh.
Oh, man. It was, and again, it's one of those things where you're in a rock and a hard place. Do I attempt it? You saw the juke. The juke was there to try and get them to flush out, but it was just that mismanagement of timing. So it does now go to a 6-2 scoreline here on this first map of Ascent.
Yeah, Ball State really pulling away with this, but finally, Boise was able to take down TN, so losing that operator definitely hurt Ball State, but they had such an econ lead, I don't think they felt it. So now Boise State definitely feeling a moral victory from there, and now Chamber looking to bring out his ult as well. The Yeoman ult is out as well, who's somebody we have not seen really being capitalized on for his team just yet.
Once again here, at Jet play so far forward, TN just wanting to play so aggro up front to get these early values.
It's been working. As soon as he gets the
the paranoia. Oh no, they're not going to see it. They're not going to check the corner. They're going to be here with the daggers. It's going to be a stack full of eliminations. Gets the quad. That is so worth it in any book you read. And now it's solely one remaining here for Boise State with a wish and a prayer.
Yeah, that's a play of the game right there, if I've ever seen one. I mean, that's the fatal flaw that Boise State's had so far, is check your angles. They just pushed right past thinking, oh, it won't be there, it'll be fine. Pops the ult and just headshot, 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 headshot. It was very clean.
Now going to get that last elimination here. Defender side finding themselves at a 7-2. Looking to continue the lead here. But again, Ascent, I have not particularly seen as much personally of Boise State. I know you touched a little bit about it when we had at the start, but we got to look at this replay one more time before I talk further about that, because this is just brutal. Nutty. I mean, there was even response with the paranoia to block it. But the problem is that they don't even check it. That would have been an easy pickup onto TN. And because of those little subtle things, checking the corners, that's going to be a punishment here, and now having to really start reading moving forward that we got to check every time no matter what.
Yeah, that's something where you're going to have PTSD from that for a while of just, we need to check our corners. We need to check our corners. And now finally Panda wins the 1v1 against TN, who once again had another operator. TN has to be hemorrhaging money.
Probably. I mean, you can even see now, I'm trying to just watch this rotation. But Boise State finally gets the advantage. Ooh, bobs and weaves around the Hunter's Fury. Dreammaker now looking to flee, swaps to the dagger, and gets away with their life as the plant comes through. And this is a post plant that I'm really liking to see how Boise State's going to play it to try and take this round.
Yeah, they, for once, have an advantage going up against Ball State. Make sure to take Hell as quickly as possible, because it looks like Ball State's going to have to go for an all-in Heaven push. I don't think they want to split up here, especially when they don't have the numbers advantage.
Swooty now going to try and launch a couple of shock darts, still holding on to the recon bolt to see where they want to place it. They do drop the bot and relinquish that recon bolt, so a lot have been committed to this. Paranoia comes through to block the vision against needing to try and do something because they're running out of time. This plant isn't going to last. They're actually just going to forfeit, swap the blade, and sprint away. So they're going to give this point up but save at least a small margin of the eco.
Yeah, so this is a really good round for Boise's eco. JBag barely making it out, had to use the teleport just to get back in time, but that's a solid win for Boise. Finally breaking the losing streak that they were on for, that was what, a 4-loss streak that they finally reclaimed?
And at this point, you're going into just before swap, so you just want to try and make every round count, because now when you swap to that defensive position, the more that you get, even though it's more of a challenge to push onto the map of Ascent for what Boise State is having, at least they can get closer because they can play a heavier defensive side.
Yeah, and even Panda just sticking to their sidearm at the moment seems could be risky, but going in for the ult, getting scouted out. Just going even through the smoke, but seems even Ball State will back right off. Look how stacked up Boise State is once again. Last time they did this, they were just taken down one by one.
Couple of smokes going to be tossed into the key positions to try and see if they can push into this. Double dash through to maybe get to the back line for a better angle. Can't find the value. The op comes through. Tien finally shut down from Dreammaker. With this press forward, though, you're going to have, again, Ball State try to play into this middle position up by window as the Trailblazer comes out from Boise State to see if they can gather some further intel. Door now not going to be able to be shut since it has already come down. Spike is planted once again. Good position for Boise State.
Yeah, they once again have security of hell. Even see the shots through the floor. 90. Ooh! Falling low gets it! Plus one in this fight.
Clutch this out. The wall bang goes back, gets a pickup. Parker now looking for the defuse. Boise State's too far away, going for a potential Hunter's Fury. Gets the shutdown onto Parker and looks for a second, wounding them. But unfortunately, the arrow can't be hit
will be a Ball
swiftly.
State round, but solid plays coming out from Boise State. They had control of the site, but lost it so quickly with Jabal just getting scouted out in hell and quickly eliminated.
And we can take a look at that one more time.
Perfect
Great
replay of
intel. Yeah. Perfect intel down below. You have very good acknowledgement of it. Dropping down a little bit of, you know, that stutter step of trying to watch which angle they're coming from, because at this point it was just massive numbers for Ball State to overwhelm Boise.
Yeah, great. Soval able to at least stop the defuse for a whole second before he just got pushed right by Ball State with that Brimstone. So now, one of the last few attack rounds for them, they're going to have to really just go on. This time they're going for the B push. Even bringing out the style.
Yeah, they're going to bring out the Seekers, looking to see if they can get knowledge and where 3 of them are. At least there's a stack up, though, towards that back position for B long. As they're now going to look to try and see if they can gather through. If Panda can just hold this angle and make sure that they get the early takedown onto one. Gets a little short-changed, though. Even though they've got the long angle, Parker still finds the value.
Now down 2. Ball State's sitting pretty, but as you mentioned, they're very stacked up. Molly's going to come out. Tien picks up one more. Now +3. Things are not looking good. Killjoy's even coming out.
You've got the stim to be there to help boost as well. That's a cleanup here, making it a 9-3 scoreline as we swap sides. And I mean, the biggest thing that we've seen so far here, at least for Ball State, that has allowed them to take advantage of this map percent is really just their proactivity and their willingness to play so close to the line. Like, they are managing to get value with these hyper-aggressive plays, not having any reservation, and because they feel confident in these actions, they're more often than not gaining the value, which is putting a little bit of hesitancy in Boise State, and even some of those trades like we saw just most recently in that last round, where you've got the long sight line to peek the corner. That rightfully should have gone in favor of Boise State, but it was just that exchange between the small sweeping and just jiggle peaks around the end of it that just puts Boise State in this uncomfortable position.
Yeah, definitely been feeling jittery after how many kind of cheeky plays Ball State's gotten away from. Boise State's going to need to be playing slower and maybe a little bit more spread out, because we saw it perfectly from Tien's multiple plays. They capitalize on whenever Boise State is stacked up, especially here over on the rotation between the attacker spawn and B.
And you can see now, you've got Boise State on the defensive position, holding with that headhunter. On the reverse side, though, the Frenzy gets the takedown. Ball State gets the advantage. You do have the guiding light, hits themselves, goes down despite being blinded for the brief moment by J-Corn, and still gets the valuable takedown.
As quick as they had the advantage, but it was the 2v1 situation. You can see one member of Boise State all by their lonesome on B, having to rotate over, try to match how quickly Ball State has taken over the site on A. J-Bag able to pick up one quickly, loses it. We can see Shell's trying to debate whether he wants to go through a wall, but will be scouted out. He has to rotate out, hasn't checked his flank, sees one, hip fire, gets it. Does not have the health
credit for that one. Yeah, gotta give him credit for that one, but again, you still have to be cautious. It's a 1 versus 3. You slowly bring it down. So the head
finally does open up the wall, gets pinched, sees the window, has to push in, and Swooty swings it at just the right time. So Ball State will continue their winning streak, bringing it to 10-3. They are 3 rounds from victory at the moment.
As we do take a look at it, you do still have,
See
you know,
just how
quite
much
a bit of
the econ is
spread.
in Ball State's favor
Yeah.
right now with 3 Spectres, the Bulldog, and the Sheriff, whereas on the side of Boise State, they brought up the Marshal for the split second, but then made sure to just trade it out with the Ghost and Sheriff, so...
And you can even see, too, the value.
Boise State push on this round 2, but once again, Ball State's also very stacked up on this B side. Looks like they will rotate over through A, so they're going to have to deal with Panda, but gets an early elimination onto Shells, as well as Panda from the turret, no less. Quickly followed by TN, taking down Dream It. Haker, they are having an aggressive push, and Boise State has just been so late to respond that they already have control of point, and Spike should be going down momentarily.
And the Spike now over by B. They do again have that post-plant positioning. The value has definitely been gained, and really Swooty's also been such a huge value.
Going to match against TN, wins it with Jabal getting the headshot. Continuing push forward. At least Boise State was able to pick up 1, so it won't be a flawless. But with Spike down, the time is not on their side.
And with J-Bang looking to try and play over by that B position, the flank.
Spectre to try to even things out. Might just have to give it to him with how Spike is such in their favor. They're just so set up on this B site.
And Swooty now looking to try and hold with the Sheriff, looking to press forward. Doesn't manage to get too much. The wall bang.
No less as Jabal tried to get on the aggressive. J-Bag even pushing up too, trying to cut off the rotations from the Spike plant. Continues just pushing up too far. And Killjoy ends it with a triple. Ball State, as soon as they just get set up, refuse to leave the point. Take a look at the replay of Boise State, or Ball State, getting on point, securing it. You can just tell how quickly they clean up.
Can't hear it either.
I can't hear Rich.
Now we're going to look to
So
see
as we
again.
head
Here we've
into
got
the next round, Boise State is definitely hurting from that econ. They were able to pick up a couple eliminations, but with no members surviving, are definitely hurting from it. Continuing only 1 push through B. Immediately scouted out, taking down the dog from Sky. So now, Ball State having an idea of who set up where, still have yet to get an initial pick that they have pretty much every round, which has allowed them to push forward. Ball taking down the drone.
And you can see now Panda potentially going to look to try and hold that long sight line, as you do have J-Corn look to move back in towards the center position. Does get a nice upgrade, though, with that elimination, so they are in a more beneficial position, as it's a 5 versus now 3, with Panda getting the elimination a second time. Dream now attempting to try and see if they can get some vision with that recon bolt in the back. Actually does find potentially 2, but they are very aware of it from Boise State.
Yeah, such an early round operator has definitely been playing in the favor of Boise State, trying to give Ball State a taste of their own medicine so far. But with it being 11-3, Boise State's going to practically have to have a reverse sweep in order to take this map.
You can see now again this reposition with 30 seconds to go. They have to pressure in through this B short position, but the angles are being held. The operator is there. Panda awaits for them to walk forward. The stim gives some visibility, but it's going to be Shells that actually gets it. Dreammaker follows up. It's only 1 left. Ball State at the short end of the stick here, and honestly, this is exactly the round that Boise State needs to try and get some sort of recovery, being down this far.
Yes, a cheeky play attempt from Ian, just crouching directly underneath him, goes right in, starts spraying, but Boise State gets it. And I would call that a flawless. Yes, they were unable to eliminate the Brimp Zone, but that's the first time we've ever seen all members of Boise actually survive a round.
And as we do take again look at the econ, you do have at least Swooty, who's been very dominant here for Ball State, that they've gotten this Hunter Fury lightning fast, holding on to it. But now looking at the opposing side, Panda has the operator on this defensive position, utilizing that consistently. A full buy comes out all around. So this is kind of that pivotal teetering moment. If Boise State can continue to take this defensive prowess, it'll allow them to snowball further. But if they lose this, Ball State is in a prime position to close out these last few rounds necessary by just completely shutting down the economy of Boise State.
Yeah, Jabal able to scout out all 5 members, even take down the drone with the help of J-Bag. So they're holding a hard A push. This is where you want to see the members of Boise State rotate over. Great smoke to deny it. The Hunter's Fury comes out from Swooty, picks up 1.
Oh no, and they're going to collapse onto Jabal and not able to recover from it. They had the advantage. The smoke was there. The light blocked the sight, but now it's just basically Ball State overrunning this position. Boise State has to be so reactive at this point, and they're going to find themselves on a match point map here if they can't find a recovery with the last 3.
Yeah, trying to clear out Hell, able to take down Parker. So it's at least +1, won't be a flawless, but 3 to 4. Boise State has a chance, but might go that quickly as Shells falls.
Yep, they can't seem to get the coordinated play. Op comes through with the backline position. This is going to be a miracle play, but you're going to have a flank come through once again, unable to watch that many corners as the single individual, as now we do see Ball State on match point for this first map of Ascent.
Yeah, surprisingly, Ball State didn't even pick up W Panda's operator after getting the elimination. Instead, just went for the Phantom, which I find quite interesting. Doesn't want to give it to Tien, who's been absolutely popping off with that operator. Maybe they just don't want to go for the offensive operator.
And now with that offensive operator, you can just see the value that comes in with it. But this is the final moment. And again, it's such a tragic place to be in because Boise State having the reduction of the economics is going to be something that they have to really work with. They can't go the complete full buy here since you do see some of the light armors. They at least get the rifles. That's the most significant part here, but they are down the op, which they would have loved to have Panda have for this.
Yeah, Panda's been doing absolutely phenomenally with that op, and it seems that once again it will be another A push coming out from Ball State. So even the Killjoy just
down
right on the edge. He's gonna have to just back off, even teleport away.
Cover going out.
Paranoia now going to come through. They do have the plant available. The lockdown is still there, finally dissipating as you get an early elimination, though. Boise State has the chance now. They've got the numbers advantage, and they have to play this perfectly. Pushing forward. They do get a collapse. Great synergy. Huge
just
control.
Like that.
What a well-communicated and timed aggression onto this. I honestly think Ball State had no idea that it was going to be that coordinated, because that's one of the things I think that's lacked a little bit from Boise. Not to say that they aren't coordinated as a whole, but at least the recent previous rounds, you've not seen that well of a dive onto a position, and it's really yielding value right now for them to get back into this with an econ.
Yeah, it was definitely a rough start. Ball State took that site very strongly, but Boise State came back, got the 2 picks of the agents who had rotated out of sight, and they just came right in. Surprised that Ball State couldn't even pick up one with how low both the Sky and Chamber fell for them, but continuing the push. Now they still have a huge econ advantage after a flawless round, but still no operator for Panda.
No operator for Panda, and you do see TN committing the blades into this because they don't want to forfeit any gold so that they can obtain it moving forward, since they are still on this match point. It is a tall mountain to climb here for Boise State, but they have managed to show that they are relentless in their pursuit to make this recovery. As Dreammaker now looking to drop out the Owl drone to see if they can get into that corner for visibility. Checks one, does actually find a second, but no, you're going to have Korn go down. TN comes in with a triple on the daggers. Dreammaker, though, attempts to equalize and actually makes it back to a 2-2.
Yeah, thankfully Boise State does have both of their ults online to try to defend here, but with how quickly Ball State was able to rotate over to that B site, immediately Hunters is going to come out and picks up one. Dreammaker's now in a triple.
Dreammaker comes in swiftly with this. Now it is solely 2 versus 1. Boise State is in a prime position. If they look to collapse properly onto Parker here, it's going to give them the advantage to keep this going. Updraft comes through. That's the worthy sacrifice you give to make sure that you reach another round, and that'll be a defuse here by Boise State.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where her Pandas sacrifice themselves for you, so you buy them a gun next round because they saved your life and won the team the round. But Boise State so far in a 2-round win streak, which is the most we've seen them on. Possibility of reverse sweep is still possible, but they still have to continue to play out of their minds because Ball State's been on match point this whole time.
And as we do take a look here at the just evaluated economics once again for this team, we do acknowledge that they had a little bit of an interesting changeup. You do see less commitments into this. Only the Sheriffs picked up by Ball State. They have to forfeit this one so that they can get a full buy next round. So this is still an opportunity for Boise State to continue maintaining their lead, but they need to be cautious and not over-aggress forward. And I'm worried for Panda getting caught out here, but has to be super, super careful. Oh no! Oh
Once
no,
again,
Panda,
just
why?
doesn't check the angle.
Panda, we love you, but why? Because now it's going to be a numbers advantage here for Ball State. And you've got Dreammaker over.
And he had
by
the
this
blades
middle
on line
position.
too, so it's just that much, it hurts that much more.
Oh no. Okay, that's good though. Shells
even out.
starts to equalize. Yep, managing to get another one. As you do have Shells looking to try and still hold over by this B position. The utility is stacked, so Boise State is in a position to continue holding on to this, and you can see it. The hesitation here for Ball State to press into this is really, really just tiptoeing their way to finding an opportunity.
They get one because Boise State still having that gun advantage. Vandal really coming in strides.
Deploying drone.
Checking
Now
their
you're
flanks,
gonna
but
have looking to see 35 seconds. It's do or die now. They have to push in on this.
they do have at least one Vandal from Panda's
seconds
death,
left.
so that is on the Brimstone. But with 2 members of Boise State stacked up right there, they know they're there, have to go for the aggression, lose one, completely trade down. Boise takes it.
Boise State trying to run the gauntlet right now, so that
They've
can
been doing
turn
well
this.
so far.
I mean, they really have. They've dodged quite a bit of obstacles in this gauntlet, and there's still many more ahead of them, but at least they've got the morale to start taking advantage of this, because we touched on this. We talked about the defensive position being slightly more favored than what we've seen prehistorically. So with this now being an opportunity for Boise State to play the defense, even though they didn't get as many attacking victory rounds, they still had something that they can build off of. And now with this full buy, though, it's do or die for Boise to try and go head-to-head against Ball State for this final point.
Yeah, Boise does have the 3 ult advantage going up against the 2 of Ball State, but Ball State's committing so much utility over at A that they lose one. Make that 2!
They do have the suppression! Panda comes in big! You do have Swooty
No.
retaliating with Ian getting another. The plant comes out. Swooty securing it. Now, you do still have the KO getting no res. There's no res on the KO. If you avoid it, Swooty doesn't have an ally. They can't get them back online and has to watch this upper
Last
position.
player
They won't
standing.
be able to get close to them. So it's the last player. It's a numbers advantage. Panda comes in with the assistance of Dreammaker, and they get another defuse and continue to close the gap.
Ball State went from going really slow, losing it, to going really fast, and also losing it. Panda just absolutely popping off. And of course, as soon as he went for that 3rd elimination, ran out of the ammo, but ended up picking it up because the Brimstone went for the KO res, but got eliminated mid of it. So it was a huge win for Boise there because they just collapsed on the point so much quicker than we've seen them in the past. Chamber even able to teleport to make it there that much quicker, but a great play by Panda just picking them off one by one.
Oh, it continues to escalate. Another eco round here and a partial buy, basically, for Ball State as they aggress again. Only 5 rounds away. That's so many, but it's so close.
Ooh,
Oh!
too aggressive and got taken down by the Sheriff. The 1 tap could be the start of the ball rolling for Ball State to try to take this map. But Boise State started off this swapped round of being 8-3, and now it's 12-8. They have closed this gap.
Significant recovery. Seekers actually come through here to make sure that they get knowledge of where there are multiple members. Owl Drone comes through, even some additional area of effect. Okay, Dream just bursts damage through the smoke and comes up big, making this a 4-4. And look at the significant health value. Depleted on their Sova. The plant comes out, but there is a disadvantage once again. This post plant is not going to be easy here for Ball State.
Yeah, J-Back has yet to check his left side, even shows himself with a perfect bird timing from Sky, is unable to save him. Shells falls as well to the
One enemy
Brimstone.
remaining.
Dreammaker able to pick up one, but does end up trading out. Jabal comes in, gets one, but flanked. And that is it.
GG's in the chat. You can see it. Both teams acknowledge it. I guarantee you that it doesn't matter the number on the score line. It is honestly some serious plays from Boise State coming down when they're behind and keeping a level head. Again, it does still go in favor of Ball State, but what a worthwhile side swap when you come back from that type of deficit. And again, this is an opportunity now after evaluating this map of Ascent, some of the things that still need to be a little bit refined. I think the communication definitely got better throughout the match itself, especially when we want to highlight that specific round of the aggression and collapsing onto the post plant. I believe it was for preventing that I think it was actually on point 5 or 6 for Boise State, so a few rounds prior. But in those little moments, just like now you saw, it was J-Bag in the corner up top, not aware of where that positioning was down below by TN and getting outplayed and picked up, and just those little bit of micro discussions, because there was visuals and knowledge of that jet play in the bottom by TN, but unfortunately couldn't respond fast enough down by the box to get the takedown, and then that's when it really started to snowball for Ball State to be able to get that completion.
So we had a little bit of an issue there with the being unable to hear Rick Rad, which is totally fine. But that comeback that Boise State made there, Brenner, what do you think about that comeback and then moving forward and taking it to the next 2 maps? Because there's still 2/3 of this competition to go.
Yeah, so with the next map being Breeze, as it was predetermined before the game started, I think Boise State is definitely feeling good going into it after having such a big comeback that Rich was talking about prior before we did end up losing that. So definitely I hope to see them succeed going forward, because they still won those early rounds consistently. And I think Ball State has a lot of the same strategies Boise does, of they really group up and push a single point either very aggressively or split up and do it very slowly. We see Boise State take a lot of those same plays, and when it comes down to the 1v1s, Ball State has been winning a lot of them again and again, and Boise State really needs to start checking their angles both left and right, because we see them usually checking, 90% of the time they're going to be at this angle, but 10% of the time when they're over there, you never check it, and that's where they are and get the elimination. So I think Boise State is definitely going to be learning on that and have some PTSD moments going into the next map.
But that's definitely surmountable. We can definitely do that. But before we get to the next map, we're going to go ahead and go over to a break.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Hello and welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You are still watching our Week 7 coverage of the ECAC Collegiate Valorant Tournament. Boise State is trying to pick up the win against Ball State tonight. Ball State has went up a map, but not before. Boise State definitely showed us that this is winnable and a closer match than we initially thought it might have been at the beginning of Map 1. I am your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, and joining me tonight are Brenner Bear Ladd and Rich Rad. So, after that last map, Brenner, what does Boise State need to do to come out of this with a win?
I think they've learned a lot from that first map against Ball State. So going into Breeze, which is a map that we have not practiced as much as, say, Bind or Most Play, and going up against Ball State, they need to respect the kind of tenacity of TN and how strong they are as a player, especially on the jet with how many plays they were able to make, and also checking their angles, and checking their angles. I feel like at this point you just need to add it to Doc's keys because it has cost them so many great pushes that they had. Even when they were up in the econ, they would have a great push, one person would be hiding behind an angle, and they would lose 2 members, and it would just cost them.
And we do actually have some extra Doc's keys to the game that will help both of these teams as we go in here that are important, that mention exactly that. And Doc's keys to the game in Valorant are to focus angles and flank, know your win conditions, count cards / call abilities, and click heads. And Doc's keys to the game are brought to us by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. And so back to talking about what Boise State needs to do to pick this up. What do you think is the biggest way to kind of like mitigate those flanks and angles, Rich Rad?
To be fair, there was a little inkling of it. We saw Shell most specifically in a couple of occasions in that middle position where they were looking to use that headhunter when they were on the chamber, making sure that they can continue to hold those angles. But it was kind of this on and off nature where you saw it sometimes, but not all the time. So it's just acknowledging of the consistency and being able to make sure that you've got that weary presence and where this rotation is. And again, I know it's something that does seem so simplistic, but as we've commented, checking the corners. I honestly think that that is going to be a huge influencer in a lot of the ways that you're going to have Boise State enter onto these maps, especially going into Breeze being such an expansive map, you know, square footage wise compared to others. There is going to be such a significance in making sure that you check these corners and you check these angles, and also be very, very wary of any sort of flanking or lurking that might come out from Ball State, which we've seen on a couple of occasions get massive value.
And as we look at the draft, it seems it might be a perfect matchup for both sides. As we see the Sova, the Jet, and the Viper locked in for Boise State. As we're waiting to see if they're also going to take the Chamber and KO. If we have a perfect mirror match here, it's really going to come down to who has the better technical skills. Seems Shells will be swapping off, though.
Ooh.
Have to wait.
I'm curious if Shells is going to lock into this, because ever since we had that patch adjustment, it's been something of like interest, but I don't think it still has as much value, and it's not going to be. That's where I'm liking at least keeping consistent when it comes to, you know, Boise State wanting to make sure that they've got the chamber, looking to see if they can also get potentially the KO, will get locked in. So you're correct. This is going to be a mirror matchup between these two. So now it really does come to skill and not so much as the compositional differentiator.
Yeah, it's going to come down to who places their abilities in the right spot, who clicks on the heads, and who takes the fights against either their mirror match or where they have the advantage of you know, TN and Panda are still maintaining on the Jet. Dreammaker and Swooty still staying on the Sovo. Jay Corn still on the KO. Oh, so not many changes for who's comfortable on what operator, but just hopefully who will come out on top, because Ball State, this is practically the comp they ran last map, except for they're swapping out the Killjoy for the Viper. So they have to be feeling pretty comfortable, whereas Boise State is changing up a lot on the roster.
Yeah, and coming out defensively, Boise State's going to have the opportunity to really have to pick their battles here and try to read where Ball State is going to maneuver through. And I'm also just really curious to see how we're going to have Boise State manage this hallway and metal doors position, because that can give teams a lot of problems. If you're not able to really keep vision onto that, how you utilize information through there and maneuvering up into this mid-pillar position, or even in dropping down by mid-shoot, it's going to be such a detriment. And you can already see that Dreammaker's taking full advantage up close with Panda, but there's an early elimination here in favor of Ball State.
Yeah, they make sure to get the refrag. Instead, Panda's just going to get a 2-piece with the Sheriff. But Ian makes sure to try to even out and stop that streak. But Swooty gets the plant down. There goes Ian. Good collapse.
And this is that
on
nice
T.
lurk. This is a really, really great lurk. They rotated swiftly through A-Hall, down through ropes, so that they can try and push into where Caves were. Gets the rotation with the Sheriff for 2. Now it's an even 2 for 2, though. You're going to have Dreammaker press in to try and see if they can get the advantage. A little bit of an aggression, though. 1 HP. The Shock Dart goes by. The Recon gives the visibility, so it's a 1-for-1 now. They're both so low. They have 25 HP each. Dreammaker just trying to pump some shots into it and gets it! Through the wall bang. Again, that's soft texture and soft terrain, so that will get the elimination, and the defuse comes out for Boise State to take the first point of the round.
Yeah, I'm surprised Swooty just sat there and was like, hopefully he won't shoot me. Hopefully he won't shoot me. Bullets just whizzing past his head. It's like, this isn't going to end well for you, sir. What? You think you're just hunker down? Like, you can see it. He's making an outline of him and then finally finds him right at the end. But he finishes that with a triple. So now Boise State, at least Dreammaker, has a huge econ advantage.
And again, they're going to find themselves in a good position defensively here. They can, try and see if they can, find this lurk again. I can't emphasize this enough. This goes for sure back to Doc's references to success. I mean, in Valorant, focus your angles and your flanks. Well, Boise State took great advantage of it for this round 1, and it's going to net them some value going into the second.
Yeah, so Ball State's going to be playing a little bit slower and keeping an eye on where their butts are, because so far Boise State's already trying to go in for that flank with Dreammaker on the drone trying to scout out where they're pushing. So they're having a very solid push up the mid, putting a lot of pressure on the chamber.
And you can see J-Bang looking to try and hold this angle through where
Panda picks up one with the Marshall, looking for a second.
Can't seem to get it, but it's still early value. Nice job picking it up here. Does use the rendezvous to escape, so they are not going to find themselves in an uncomfortable position. Walks into the Sheriff and still gets it. Panda still takes him down with the Marshall. And again, this is one of those like dynamic shifts on Breeze, because there is so much surface area. If you play like this and the opponent like Ball State is not ready for it, it can really cripple you.
Yeah, and it seems to definitely be crippling them so far, especially with Panda just popping off with this Marshall. Marshall. Well, so, I mean, they just try to contest him. When he finally got aggressive, he just gets the hip fire and comes away with it. The Spectres definitely came in strides for them. So now, hopefully, Ball State with the Econ buys all ARs. They have the Vandals and the Phantoms, so they're looking to take a round off Boise, whereas Boise's still feeling very comfortable and pulling away with the money.
And you can see the dominant positioning over towards B. I do like this a little bit better for Ball State. I feel it might be something that they can play a little bit more efficiently. I would also like to see a little bit maybe of a better utility with this Viper wall to try and divide and push in, because it can be so valuable on this map. You could finally see it come through by Ball State, looking to divide it, pushing through B tunnel so that they can get the advantage onto that back position where B wall won't be able to give full visibility. And you can see it. J-Bag can't get a good clean shot onto anything.
Yeah, there's just too many Viper walls. He's even going to take some poke through the said wall, but Ian's going to get the plant, and he wins that exchange down to 9 HP. Even sees the enemy Viper, but gets rotated on while reloading as Sweetie takes him down.
That's so unfortunate. I hate that in my own competitive games. When you got to reload, you just get yourself bamboozled. But a couple of picks come through. It's a 3 versus 3 now. Dreammaker up top with the Owl drone, looking to see if they can gather any intel. Acknowledges that there's one, but not the second. Actually does get the second. One peeked out, so they're going into this as an unfavorable trade. Panda goes down, so it's a 3 versus 2. Dreammaker couples with the chamber position, at least gets their own. The Headhunter's there, but this is still in favor of Ball State as the time dwindles with the spike.
Oh. Tried to get it with the hip fire, but unable to as Swooty pulls away with it with a triple. The Vandals and Phantoms came in strides for Ball State, but they still lost 3 members.
Let's not have deja vu. Boise State took first 2 games last time. Ball State then somehow miraculously finds momentum, which works for them. Let's hope that's not the case here to see a game 3. I mean, I think we all want to see a game 3. As we're now going to look to take an evaluation, not a full buy here when it comes to Ball State, again, being a little bit more economic. They've got the couple of rifles. You're actually going to have Parker hesitate on getting anything. Keep with the classic for right now and look to maybe just save a little bit longer. And they don't have the Tour de Force. That's the concerning thing here. So they are going to come into this underwhelming to go against Boise State.
Yeah, and the operator on Panda already so early just shows how much of a commanding lead Boise has taken. And economically, trying to put some pressure down that mid, and even gets one onto Korn as soon as he comes out from behind the wall. Shells picks one up as well. The ult even coming out from Panda, looking to pick up one more. So high up in the sky, the Viper ult did come out from Ball State. Last remaining survivor misses it.
Chasing him into the corner. That's a feels bad, friend. When you've got the Viper's Pit, you've got 2 down already, completely swarming the rest of the positioning. It's only you in the center of your own venom, and you're basically just being poisoned. And there's no way that Ball State can come back from this. Really great responsiveness from Boise State.
Yeah, Ball State went for such an aggressive push on that B site, and Boise State was just set up for it. Feels so bad for Jay Korn, where he's just like, all right, I'm going to peek right up behind the wall, and perfectly, Panda with his op just sees him and takes him down in one clean shot. And that's also a huge utility loss for Ball State, because as you mentioned, they committed the Viper ult and weren't able to capitalize from it.
I mean, that wasn't even full body. That was like lower torso leg peek out, and then backpedal, and domed. Like, it was just nutty to come out from Panda, and that's what's really going to give a lot of advantage here for Boise State with how Panda's been really starting to warm up going into these games.
Yeah, even getting so aggressive with this op, trying to find at least one person to come say hello over on A side, but it seems that they're going to go for a rotate push through mid with so many of the Viper rolls going down. Dreammaker trying to rotate over through the mid as well, but look how spread out Ball State is. They're definitely going slow and steady here.
Yeah, they're really taking their time on this. They've acknowledged that they've partially misread how well Boise State is playing this map of Breeze. So with the Headhunter looking to try and hold the angle, the rest of Ball State going to move out. You do have the dagger coming through. Doesn't give any information since you did have at least that positioning further back in window. And J-Bag, you can just see this jiggle peek consistently trying to just network their way around that wall to get intel.
And of course, right when he stops, they all push through.
Yeah, right. And then you're going to see J-Ball get overwhelmed and the plant comes through.
Does get a kill with the Jet ult, so that does just give that away that they did activate it. It's still up since they got the elimination. Swoody only with a Sheriff. Boise State definitely trying to save some econ, but at the same time, Dreammaker has the Vandal, so it's kind of back and forth for his team. Picks up one for J-Bag.
Nice
Jet's very low.
as well.
Gets it midair.
Shock Dart gets Korn. It's only 2 left, and now you're going to see Ian swing through the smoke. We're both on the same wavelength for this one, as you're going to see the Headhunter go wide. Parker falls short, and Shell's now playing this position, trying to see if they can aggress forward. The
Chamber
GPU has
1v1.
to come through, though. The Sheriff 1v1 Headhunter isn't going to be able to do it. The clutch is there. Ball State buys enough time. Parker comes out despite everyone being eliminated, and that makes them only a 2-3 score line.
That was...
Can we just see the smoke moment again where we bonded? I just want to see where we bonded
right out of
again.
it and gets 2 so cleanly. Boise State just didn't acknowledge, like, ah, nobody's in there. It'll be fine. And she's, nope. The Viper plays on both these teams have just been phenomenal so far.
Yeah,
No, we
I'm
didn't
gonna have to go.
see it.
It's okay. I'm gonna go back and clip it. It'll just be our
Twitch,
bro moment.
Clip it and send it to me.
As we're gonna now enter into this next one, Boise State here on the defensive position again, and now with Ball State playing a lot more of a refined, aggressive positioning into a segment of this map, it's causing a little bit more challenge for Boise
Still have
State because
both
again,
Silva ults up, and Chamber will bring out his sniper for Boise State. Once again, another huge stack up on mid with the Chamber lagging behind for Ball State. Boise's even collapsing on their spawn over from A.
you can see getting ready to commit a lot into this. J-Bald is going to be overwhelmed here as they change trajectory. They do have the recon bolt. J-Bald actually doesn't get sought out here. You've got the Viper wall coming through, managing to get it, and that's going to be a second, yes.
Now has an op of his own.
Spike planted. Last player standing.
Ooh, it's a rough miss.
Yep, that's okay. We'll give him credit for that. We'll just say, okay, friend. Tour de Force now going to look for another one here. Does almost get it, but just
again?
why? Oh, wowzers. It's okay.
The drone even harassed me.
And then gets taken down. Flawless
Team finishing
round
it out
here
with
for
the
Ball
triple?
State.
It's pretty brutal and a flawless, no less, for Ball State.
Now we're going to look to enter in onto this one. We do see, once again, that it's going to be now Boise State having to recover economically. They're going to go for an eco buy here.
Only Dreammaker buying. They only have the one Sheriff as well. Make that 2 as J-Bag picks it up. So now Parker still holding onto that. Must have picked it out off of Panda's. No, they were all fully wiped. Just kidding. They just bought it. So that just tells you how far in economy they are ahead.
As they look to press onto this, you're going to see that there's a wall already committed. Ball State does have that to try and block some of the sightline as they press in towards B. Panda, though, waiting into the corner to see if they can maybe find some value as we do look to have an opportunity. There is a little bit of a potential rotation that comes through here by Shell.
Even the drone pushing up. Shell's in a tight spot, not having a gun advantage, even with a classic. Boise State's going to have to play defensively as all hell here. They want to manage, keep this going.
As Dreammaker now looks for potential shots. It's going to be a real challenge, though, for them as they do have a rotation actually back over to A.
Such a hard rotation over to A right now. It's going to be all on this poor KO of Jabal to try to hold this defense up. At least he has the nades to try to stall them a little bit.
Now you can see that they're going to try and push in aggressively. They do have some decent smokes coming out to open it up and has a chance to get the pickup. J-Bald is eliminated as you've got Korn now trying to pressure in with more value. 5 versus 3 now. Boise State comes up short. Now you're going to see them look to try and be overwhelmed.
Tien picks up one. With this being a 2v5, things are not looking good for Boise. They still have the Sova ult, and now Tien on a triple. Things are not looking good for the remaining of the Sova. Even with the high ground and the Marshal, you're going up against the Operator and all 5 members, even with 3 ults. He knows at least one's there, tries to get the fight, and that's a quad for Tien.
And as you can see, that's going to be an opportunity to start taking the lead. Boise State falling shy. And at this point, just allowing themselves to try and recover here. Again, that was an eco round. So now they're going to come back into this with a slightly bigger buy.
Yeah, and taking a look at this replay of, you know, the Jet just got the triple, now gets the quad. Poor old Silva was on such a rough patch that they were just trying to find the right spot of where to attack and went for it and couldn't get it.
And now as J-Bang looks to try and hold again a little bit further forward on this B position, rushing with Ball State over towards B again, because it's been one of the more successful positions that they want to play to, and they're acknowledging that it is going to be helpful to push through that archway. The smoke comes through to try and block it. They could look even for the orb as well, for the ult point to try and get the advantage to maybe get that KO. They do get a 1-for-1 trade. Sniper goes through, gets one, even trades again. And Ball State at this point is going to find themselves a little bit more of a challenge, but they still get the plant.
Yeah, Tien down to 29 HP is definitely in a rough spot, but at least it's 3v3 for Boise State. Even committing the Hunter ult, but Shells takes the angle, just looking at barely off to the right. Will end up losing it to Ian.
And you can now see Panda trying to find the back position.
Quick
Does get one.
One enemy remaining.
Goes for the op now, attempting to try and hold the long angles. They've got to defuse this, though. They go for a potential partial. They might look actually for the full, but wait just slightly, since they do know that there's Ian in the window looking for some shots. They jump peek into it and takes the... Nice job coming out from Panda, able to get the defuse to make it a 4-for-4.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Sova went for the jump just to try to get it, especially when he knew Ian was just holding the angle, was stable, and could definitely take it. But Boise State edging out a win. This is a much closer map than that first map.
Oh boy, I'm liking it. The intensity increases. A map that is more favorable so far for Boise State, and they're being able to play this so well. And you can see even in this replay, that jump peek there to harass the shot out from the operator. So there is a follow-up by Panda to secure the defuse. And now as we go into this, there is almost a full buy here coming out from Boise State. The Marshall being the only one that's a little bit more of an economic buy going into this.
Yeah, at least it's still a sniper to contest how long some of these angles are that have just been pushed again and again. Panda looking for another sniping opportunity against that chamber, but with Ball State holding all 4 ultimates, soon to be 5 with that Sova ult, you know, is coming online very quickly. They could easily just press their X's and go right into the face of Boise State.
And once again, looking to have a more dominant position over by B, because you can see the rendezvous is going to close some of the distance for this chamber play of Ball State into the middle position to rotate back as a full 5. So if they can potentially get a little bit of harassment, they might be able to. Actually repositions the rendezvous and is just going to sprint back since they've got time with 50 seconds to work with.
Yeah, Boise with those great communications sees it great, and a great line of sight from Panda. Picks up TN, J-Bag pick up J-Corn as well, the two agents who got that aggressive. Even the daggers coming out for Panda.
Viper's Pit available, the double up draft, looking to try and take the high ground positioning with that ultimate to see if they can get value. Gets that dash as well. Nice pickup, though, coming out from Parker on the operator as they have managed to close the gap a little bit. There's only 7 seconds, though, to get KO back online. Boise State needs to try and see if they can get this online, but it's not in a favorable position as the plant finally comes through with this Viper's Pit still covering it.
Yeah, Viper Pit's lasting for a way long. Finally, J-Bag is able to take down Ian. There goes the wall. Misses all 3.
Last player standing.
Oh, still has 2, though.
Ooh.
Gets the reset. Now has to go for the last one. Goes for the fake defuse and comes in swiftly after. The recon bolt comes out too late. And that will be Boise State managing to take the lead here with a stellar play once again from Panda.
Panda's backs gotta hurt after that because the daggers were perfect. Missing 3 on Ian and immediately the perfect 1 shot onto the member of Ball State, and then quickly getting another onto the Sova was just a clean execution by him, but now he has also no credits. So it's definitely hard times for the econ of Boise State, but after coming out of that with a strong win and all members of Ball State having the Vandals, it's going to be an interesting matchup here because you can see just through the rounds how back and forth it is.
Back and forth indeed, as now you've got Ball State coming in just slightly behind. Very, very minor amount, and they've still been able to work with value that they, when they are down, to be honest, as they attempt now to go over towards this A position. Great shot, though, by Panda once again to open the floodgates.
Yeah, got him right in the leg to take him down, being +1, or at least even very quickly, how quickly Panda fell. Now Shells trading with Corn and T, and with Shells, it's still a 3v3, but they have the daggers online for the Jet, so they can quickly pull away here.
And Dreammaker now looking to take this long, lurking position up through a cave, seeing if they can try and get a nice jiggle peek. A little bit of fire, though. I feel it's a little aggressive. Now their positioning has been given away. The Recon Bolt is still available in addition to this Aldron that finally comes to an end. J-Ball now looking for some shots through that object, but can't really get too much value, even though they know they're there, as this defuse has to come through soon. The beeping continues to escalate because the time is reducing. They've got to collapse onto a 2 versus 1. Dreammaker just has to rush to the point to try and get it. They're going to be short. And they will get eliminated before the detonation. Actually still going to get one. Okay, so they lose a little bit of eco. Guns on the ground.
Yeah, so only Ian made it out alive, but Ian has a ton of econ now, so he might be able to just compensate for his teammates that were eliminated. As we take a look at this replay from Panda, just such a clean leg shot onto this chamber so early on. Set Boise State up for the right path, but they were quickly taken down in quick succession as soon as Ball State, he just got on the point.
Alrighty. I mean, this is, I think, a more intense round as a whole, which is a little bit more making me on the edge of my seat, which is exciting, as we're going to see once again Ball State look to play over towards that A position. Rendezvous already expended, not wanting to get overwhelmed up front as the Viper's wall comes through.
Ooh.
The screen preventing visibility, but Shells gets a
Ah.
huge early takedown, but unfortunately is traded out once again with Parker. But J-Bag is going to look for this flanking position with the rest of the team to try and collapse onto this as the wall does dissipate. Wall bang onto Panda. Numbers still in favor of Ball State.
Oh, even had the Marshall able to pick up Corn at least before he got traded out, taken down by Parker. Trying to push this wall, is able to locate at least Rendezvous. Takes it down as Ian loses the 1v1 against J-Bag. Boise State in a 1v3 situation. Chamber very low, but got flanked.
Yes, indeed. And again, it's where we see this ebb and flow back and forth. Boise State gets the early lead. Great op shot that comes through. But unfortunately, there's this side angle up through where you had mid-wood doors and was not ready for it once they jumped onto the box. So then it starts to reduce it. You've got a stack of 4 with Boise State having to respond with 2 on point A and 2 rotating through that mid-pillar area to try and retaliate. And at this point, it's just Boise trying to play catch-up.
Spending all the money, even throwing the guns off the edge. Now bringing E with a super shorty. Could be the game changer if they try to get a close angle, but Ball State has been doing very well pushing this A side. Seems they're just going to go for it again, whereas Boise State has very much expecting a B push.
Oh no, and Boise State now just completely leaving A alone. There's only one that's going to be able to hold its position. They know that that wall is there. They've had communications. They have 3 rotating to assist. And this will be a free plant for Ball State to try and see if they can continue this lead of a 7-5 scoreline.
Yeah, especially with the 3 ult advantage here. Swooty taking a lot of damage, down to 42 HP. Can't even get the sniper out in time, and TN takes him down.
Tour de Force eliminated, no longer available. Would have been so helpful for them to try and get these sightlines onto it, but now you're going to have another trade, 1 for 1, so it is 4 remaining. But the health values of Ball State here are at a detriment. Both the Sova and Chamber below that 50% marker gives an opportunity for some favorable gun trades for Boise State if they re-engage, just once that smoke is gone.
Yeah, KO can easily go for the rotate around if he starts pushing to his right through the doors, but now with the Sova ult coming out for Ball State, trying to scout out for any of the members, just barely under the KO's feet, but he will get taken down from the TN, who he didn't know was split apart from the enemy team.
And again, this is where we need the coordination. You've got the tour de force by Parker, a triple kill for TN, making this a final player. J-Bag has nothing but hopes in their sightlines. The light at the end of the tunnel is there, but it is so far away. That will be an attack round completion once again for Ball State. Despite this back and back, up one even, they finally managed to take a little bit more of an advantage by making it a 7-5 scoreline. Now Boise State takes a swap of sides, and we go to classics.
Yeah, so now with Boise State on the attack and how well they performed on the defense, especially with how neck and neck, as you mentioned, it's just been, you can see how low the health bars even were for the remaining members of Ball State. It was definitely possible to have that 1v3, but with how well that crossfire was set up from Ball State, it's definitely a uphill battle if I've ever seen one. So now back to the classics. It seems Boise State's once again also going to try to go for an A push and try to show Ball State how to do it without losing a team member.
Yeah, losing a team member is always detrimental, especially when you talk about a map as large as this. On the attacker side, you're going to look to try and see if you can get that early advantage, because when you start to think about the numbers defending, it becomes even more challenging. It's not nearly as detrimental as the attackers when you lose potentially one early. As Panda actually gets a nice elimination early here onto this as they press forward, now have a more favorable opportunity to plant this, and this is a heavy rotation coming in now to see if they can try and contest.
Yeah, on a double, runs into all 3, down to 18. Will just get ran over by Ian, but at least scouted out all 3, so Boise State has a really good idea of where to focus fire.
They do have the plant now, finally. Owl Drone over top doesn't manage to get the dart to provide the intel, but they are still aware that they are behind that box. J-Bald now needing to be cautious, does evade the Recon Bolt's visibility, so they are not given away. Looking to try and hold between pyramids, waiting for this peek behind yellow. Box goes out, great positioning by 2, and gets a recovery here. Boise State plays this so well in this first round of pistols and is just able to really try and take advantage of this early eco so that they can surpass this score of 7 and 6.
Yeah, as soon as Ball State went on the aggression for that A site, you could see how the two members of Boise State, rather than standing like right behind each other, they were kind of staggered, so it was either shoot left or shoot right, which is how they won that engagement. You can see how Sova just swung right out to line up those eliminations, so fantastic coordination by Boise State. Hopefully taking the lead here, trying to close the distance as it was a 2 lead, now it's only the 1.
Nice ricochet on the recon bolt there to try and get some visibility. But you can already see an early takedown. Ball State has lost 1 from this first few seconds.
Make that
nice
2.
Pick again. Boise State is just making quick work of this, I would almost say, over-aggressive positioning by Ball State.
Yeah, great flashbang and tank, but just sadly was a bit too far. Look how low her health bar is. She has to have no more than 15 HP. Chamber nowhere in sight to help her, all the way out from the side, can't run out to try to push her. The remaining members of Boise State are just chilling at B, not even trying to help Jabal because he's got it in the bag.
Yep, has the... What a
Triple.
shot! Okay, J-Bald, we got it. You were outplaying the Jet in the mid lane, but then coming up with a pixel just outside the smoke radius? All right, I shall respect. I should not say anything other.
Yeah, talk about the reflexes. As soon as he takes down the Jet, goes swinging the angle, immediately finds the head of the chamber and just clicks on it and says, I got this.
I mean,
look how quickly he adjusts to it.
I mean, come on. What is that? Like, okay. Like, I can't even see. I'm old. My eyes can't even see that far anymore, friend.
Just got to pull the screen close to you, get your magnifying glasses on. It's like, huh? But he got it.
Yeah.
So huge econ boost for Boise State because that was a flawless. They didn't lose a single member. Now KO coming online.
Yep, gonna see if they can try and use that to their advantage, suppressing some of the abilities, forcing them back. Nice
Very
intel coming
aggressive.
through. They're looking to pepper in some damage already. You have a little bit onto Ball State, but they've not lost anybody just yet with Panda, though finally getting a takedown.
And also gets taken down, but Dreammaker gets the refrag for his teammate, so they're still at least +1 in this fight, especially with Chamber at half health, but also Sova down at that quarter mark. Ooh,
Nice
long
pickup,
range.
coming out by Ian. Yeah, that was a great, for the weaponry that they had to get that shot, I give them major credit. As now Ball State does still have the short end of the stick here, comes out on top with such
Down
little
to
health
11.
right now. Yeah, I mean, this is high risk, high reward right now. Boise State does have 2 against 1. Ball State is only remaining with
There
1.
you
There
go.
is the team ace, and you've got now Boise State once again pulling ahead. Tooth and nail, you could say, for this round.
I mean, they finally have taken the lead, so now it's 8-7. This is by far one of the closest matchups we have ever had as Boise State. So now heading into round 16.
I mean, honestly, I'm really... I mean, chat, do we think we're going to go into extra innings? Like, that's all it's going to be. It's just we're going to go back and forth. 14-14,
the longest-
15-14, 15-15.
The longest Boise State's ever had was a total of, I believe it was 34 rounds, and we came out on top of it, and that was on Bind. So
Wow.
if it happens
Okay.
on Breeze, we still have a whole nother map after this if Boise State can come out with the win.
Let's see, friends. We're all looking to have some exciting competitive Valorant here, as we do
Look
now
how
see
quickly
a
the
little bit
rotation is
yeah.
for Ball State, though. As soon as they scout it out, this is where you want to see Boise just go for the full rotation and go over to B.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree
Oh.
with that. I think it's a little bit of a misread here to maybe overstay their welcome. They are starting to maneuver up through halls, which is a nice opportunity to go towards that metal door.
Tries to get
But
the
I'm really
flank, yeah.
curious what kind of value it's going to get. Switch comes out, gets some vision, can't dash any further. Their body's still in the sight line.
He's just trying to wall clip. It's fine.
Absolutely. I'm just going to pixel my way through the environment. I have no idea.
Yeah, Swoody at least tries to even it out, gets one with the Marshall. But multiple members of Ball State's half HP. Boise State can still definitely try to come out of this with at least a moral victory of not just getting wiped by the remaining 4 members.
Now screen comes out, looking to block the sightline, attempting a defuse, but doesn't actually fully do so.
Swooty gets
Wallbang
it.
comes out by Swooty. Oh no, this is a trade for trade again. Spike's got to go down. They hesitate. They go back into it, but lose it, and
Should've
now
planted.
it's only one. It's those subtle moments of where you hesitate, and hesitation costs you rounds.
Yeah, at least if they had gotten the spike down, that would have been a little bit extra cash for getting the spike plant down, but couldn't even commit to it. They weren't pushing. They were definitely pushing much slower, so could have gone for it, but costing them now. But you also look at the ult economy here. Boise State has 2 to Ball State's none, so they can easily maintain their round lead.
Change your trajectory here. Ball State now opting to go over towards that B middle position once again. I think, again, this is something that's favored them a little bit more. We've seen more proactivity and value gain from this, and I really would like to see it continue as they drop the defuse in the back. They're not going to play forward because they know if they're going to get punished and they lose that spike, it's going to be such a detriment because Boise State can play very aggressively on top of it.
Yeah, Boise's trying to play aggressive with the Jet ult right out the gate, but down to 26 HP and no healer in sight is going to have to play much safer now. Is definitely wishing they had an operator so they could just chill in the back line, but Swooty, once again, popping off and getting first blood.
This is a highlight that I talked about in the last game where Swooty comes out super early, walking into the Hunter's Fury. J-Back just evades it by sidestepping out of its radial. Now looking to try and be very careful over by that B wall since the screen is still up. Plant comes through. Ball State now on this attacking position is able to get it down, but they're still at a deficit right now.
Yeah, finally committed to the plan. Glad to see it for Boise State improvements. But in a 3v2 situation, and they really don't have the health advantage. Well, now they do because KO just took a huge chunk.
And now Shell's just around the corner, looking to see if they can try and find the sole remaining member. It is going to be TN all alone. Smoke comes through, actually gets Dreammaker, but gets a shot through it. J-Bag takes the advantage, doesn't even need clear sightlines. They can sense where that jet play is, as now it's a 9-8 score.
Yeah, so Boise State played that very well. They set up the crossfire, so when TN had to push the 3 members, he could only take 1 down. Sadly, it was Dreammaker, but Dreammaker did get a double for that, so at least he got a little bit of econ out of it at the end. But Boise State maintaining their round lead, now up 2, or still up 1, sorry. That if they can get up 2, they are looking to try to win this match against Ball State, which will send us over to Haven for map 3.
It's okay. I'm having a hard time just keeping track because it's literally been going back and forth. It's like, you take a round, I take a round. I take a round, you take a round.
Which
you
terrifies
take this
me
one.
about
No,
overtime.
I'll take this one. I know, right?
We could be here for a long time.
We could be here forever. At least it's on a map that's nice. I don't want to go sit on the beach for extra rounds. But speaking of extra rounds, I don't think Panda wants it. Listening in onto our comms and saying, I'm going to just go in with a vengeance right now.
Yeah, doing very well with that Vandal, and now with only 2 members of Ball State remaining, they do have the Sova ult, but you know they're not going to commit it when it's not overtime. Instead, Panda's just going to close it out with a triple onto Swooty.
Spike planted.
Wants the quad, just give it to him. Has the Sheriff primed and ready. Pistol loaded here for TN to try and counteract it, holding this lower position. The shoot, waits for it, and takes down Panda. Oh, sorry, Panda. I guarantee you TN's screaming in joy for that one, and Panda's saying, I hate you.
Yeah, Shell's even finishing it out with the ultimate. I mean, he did pull it out, but only got 1 elimination with it, so he did have some ammo left over, which is not what you want to see for a chamber, but Boise State now pulling ahead in a 2-round lead. This isn't the early game. This is the rounds that matter with the heavy econ. This is what we want to see.
We're going to get this cheeky play again. Hi, friend. Hello, I see you. I'm not garbage for this shoot. I'm I'm the Reaper in this and just going to be able to put you into your grave.
Yeah, especially shots just going straight up is never great. We saw it in Die Hard, and every time it happens, you're just like, ooh, that's got to hurt. So it's definitely the perfect peekaboo moment, but Boise State trying to decide where they want to push through. Seems they might want to go for another B push with the 3-2 right now.
I mean, honestly, this is the best mental that you could have put Ball State in because they're playing behind. They're not 100% sure where to push because both A and B attempts have really faltered. They've been buckling at the knees, and they can't seem to get a solid foundation when they push into this. And Boise State has been playing it so well, allowing them to get these advantages and really putting Ball State into an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, they have no vision of where Boise is until finally they showed themselves on B, but they also have the flank set up, but instead they were ready for it.
All right, Parker comes in. Tour de Force is available. They want to get a lot more value than just a single round, as we saw Boise did the round prior. But Panda now looking to try and be over by that wall. J-Ball is going to look to get the plant, so they are ready, but the Hunter's Fury comes through. Oh, only has 6 HP. Dodge, bob and weave. J-Ball, dodge and weave.
So he takes down Panda, though. It's a 1v3.
This is going to be this is going to be a tall task, Boise. Look at how much health he's got. No.
Even through the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an attempt. He almost had the plan down, but as you mentioned, as soon as the ult came out, just started poking him. At least he dodged it with that 6 HP, but it's 6 HP. How much can you actually accomplish?
True. I mean, we've seen, what was it, 7 last, I think it was? Panda got a takedown? So we can't count him out of it.
I mean, it was definitely possible, but he was getting collapsed on, and there was the crossfire set up. He was surrounded.
You're not wrong.
And now Ian even bringing out the shotgun is bum rush?
The judge. Someone's got a gavel, and they're ready to give a verdict. That's what they're looking to do with these last
he immediately has the Viper ult ready to go. He even plopped it down, I believe, on A, and Corn's going to get the first elimination onto Panda.
Oh, they easily take advantage
There's
of this.
the
I would
judge,
like to see
too.
the Viper spit a little bit closer, but, you know, hey, that's just me being picky. But doesn't matter. Corn's going to come in with a high ground catwalk position and just continue to dominate. And there's the pickup. All 5 eliminated on Boise State to make it a 10 for 10. Let's run it back to an even score line.
They closed that gap way too fast. Boise got the lead ahead, was feeling good, and Ball State shut them down, even finishing out with a flawless, no less. They did commit the Viper ult, so that is less utility that Boise State has to worry about going into the next round. But now TN also has an operator, whereas on the side of Boise State, 2 of you still have classics.
Well, the classics again. Well, I mean, the only one that you could really warrant, of course, is Panda because they do have the blades available so that they can take advantage of it with the loss of a weapon. But the other classic definitely makes this hard, especially when you have TN taking an early pickup here onto Boise State.
Yeah, as soon as TN gets his hands on an operator, it's going to be a hard time because there goes Panda. I believe they had even activated the dagger, so that is now lost. And in a 3v5 situation, you know where TN is. Might want to rotate out of it because, I mean, J-Bank has taken mid pretty commandingly, being uncontested, but is immediately rotating out over to B. So Boise State's having a hard time just deciding where they want to push, it seems.
Ian's going to lead with the smoke here towards this archway entering into the B site, and you still have, once again, TN going to hold that angle to make sure that nobody works the tunnel, but then swaps its attention towards the doorway as the smoke goes down, attempting to peek the corner, gets one onto Ian, so they have a chance to contest with a Viper's Pit being committed by Boise State. This is more desperation, and they have to go for the reload, but still gets it. J-Ball gets it fast enough to take down TN and loss of the operator.
76 HP, but KO has the plan. There is one person behind him of the Sova in the corner. The flashbang comes out.
Oh no! The flash came through just in time, tossing it into it, but you still have one. J-Bag overwhelmed, 2 remaining, collapsing into the Viper's Pit, and will be able to now come ahead after having multiple rounds of a deficit.
Yeah, so this might be the case once again if it's going to return to back and forth for Ball State. But they got the lead, and they have the daggers online for TN. And since he lost that operator, you could see him just maintain for the daggers and maybe try to rush down A. He's set up right at that hallway. You know he's looking to go right in on him.
This is the most critical moment because you have the big buy coming out now from Boise State. And with Ball State on this defensive position, if this goes wide, Boise State's going to find themselves in such a challenging position to recover. It's all about this economic rotation now since they've lost the last 2 rounds. With the suppression coming through, still manages to prevent some of it, but you're actually going to have Boise State get so much early advantage into this and play dominantly to try and make this an even 11-11.
Yeah, playing around this Viper wall right onto A gets the plant. Unless Ball State plays more aggressive, they're going to get it every single time. So now, with Ball State really on their back foot, going up against 3v5, putting up their own Viper wall, they're looking to get at least one, and they'll find it.
These toxic screens are going to become so challenging to work through as they become active through both sides once again now. But actually gets the pick onto it as it comes up. They thought they had more time. There's no more toxins. Ball State's getting overrun, and you've got Boise once again making it an even score line.
Even winning the long-range engagement against the sniper with the Vandal. Huge play coming out from Panda, winning that engagement no less. Just the controlled burst wins it out against the sniper. And now Shells has his own operator.
Yeah, I'm so heavily focusing on what the spending is going to look like here and where they're going to put their resources. So they opt and still able to gain the operator on both. Chambers going to pick it up this time versus the Jets, as we've seen previously. TN and Panda looking to more throttle these engagements to try and find some kind of early advantage in these late rounds.
Yeah, it's interesting how... Oh, well, he won it out immediately, so Shells is going to lose that, but Panda's going to even it out with right in the face of TN.
Panda, you are a swift god to have gotten out of that in time. But again, that's the real value that can be brought in where Jet has that rifle, making sure that they can get the exchange, dash out just as well with an operator. But oh no, they've got the KO down. They need to try and potentially get the res, but the trades are there. 3-2 now. That Boise State gets them back online though.
Yeah, Dreammaker was there. That's one of the few perks of Boise State being so stacked up as they are, is once KO goes down, if you win that engagement, you can get him back up. They do find Parker on the other end of the map with the final arrow, sadly. And a huge trade. Panda has the operator back and loses.
Oh no! But goes back to pick up the gun, so now it's the advantage in favor of Ball State. They just have to collapse onto this. The spike isn't near. J-Ball needs to be so cautious to press back out into this B main area, but needs to still keep sightlines onto that B wall. Looking for it, trying to go around the corner. Oh no, they're gonna lose sight onto the window, and that's gonna be Cord with the flanking position and get some. That's gonna now be a 12-11 score, and you've got Ball State now on match point.
Match point.
This is huge pressure because this whole time since Tian's been taken down so early, still has the daggers online for Jet. So this could still be a Ball State if Tian is not eliminated so early on. And it's just the worst timing of keep watching the wrong side. You knew someone was back there. Why else would you look back there? So definitely a hard thing to watch as trying to figure out which Vandal do I want.
Do I like this skin or do I like that skin?
I mean, skins equal wins, so I totally understand of, do I like this one or this one?
Especially when you find yourself on a match point right now. Ball State is primed and ready. Recon Bolt, or correction, the Owl Drone gets some visibility onto Corn, so they at least know that there is one there, but looking on the inside, TN is also making sure that they hold this inner corner to watch through where those wood doors are.
Ooh. Panda wins that engagement against Swifty.
They don't want to go home. Well, they already are home, but they don't want to. They don't want to lose this. I was going to say they don't want to go home, but that's the most oxymoronic thing I think I could have said.
They are
but
playing
with 60
from home, yes.
They are, friends. I am smart.
The double.
Oh no!
Boise State lost their push like that.
They had such an early advantage. Now Dreammaker has to push in. Shots aren't going to come through. Nice shots and angle coming out from J-Bag. Op is gone. It's only one, as that should be able to give an opportunity to potentially find this position. They've got the spike, so they have it near Ian, though. Are they going to know? Trying to peek this corner. J-Bag looks for the peek. Gets it, and now they need to plant the spike. They have to. They need to get some kind of vision. The smoke is there to block it, so they can't get visibility on it. And now the post plant. It's all on your shoulders, J-Bag, as the Viper's pick comes out.
Yeah, he had to commit the ultimate as soon as he got it. Now he just has to watch out for T Enzo as well as the KO. He's watching the wrong side of himself. This is so hard. And there it goes.
Oh no, it steps out of it, gets caught, and the defuse comes through. It was such a worthy attempt here. Boise State fighting tooth and nail to stay in this, to bring it to a game 3. But Ball State, in the end of it, is going to be able to win the day with a 2-0 scoreline for the ECAC Collegiate Valorant game of this evening.
I mean, definition of a close game with how neck and neck that second map was. First map was a pretty solid victory for Ball State, but Boise State brought it back once they swapped sides. So, they really came alive and started learning the Ball State mentality. And so once they got into Breeze, they were able to capitalize on it, but Breeze just barely able to edge them out at the end. But a good matchup nonetheless.
And so I have to ask Rich Rad, if these two teams were to meet again in perhaps the finals or later on in the week, because this is just week 7 out of 8 of the regular season, do you think Boise State would continue this momentum and maybe pick up the win against Ball State, or do you think something more similar to first map would happen?
I personally think it's kind of a double-edged sword to make the comment. So it's on
Definitely.
one end of it, you would say, okay, if they do have, Breeze was definitely much more dominant for Boise State. They played it so much more proficiently. So I think map selection is a big asset going into this, to see maybe if they can play to their strengths to be able to recover. And then also the biggest thing is just being able to capitalize on those moments where when they do have an opportunity, there's just those subtle little hesitations. Again, with the Viper's Pit right at the end of it, you see wanting to play a little bit further outside of it. You have the advantage. Let them come to you. Let that final few moments sink in and just keep that level-headed moment to make sure that you can capitalize, so that you could have carried that into another round. And it's like those little micro things, honestly, after seeing the second game, really shows that Boise State is definitely a team alongside them with that 5-4 scoreline. We saw some very competitive play in that more second game.
Absolutely. And so, Brenner Bear, is there anybody that you'd specifically like to highlight for the player of the game?
I mean, it's not hard to not pick Panda with how much of a playmaker they were on the Jet, with the operator getting the picks, trying to even the score for his team. It's really hard not to pick them for myself, and I'm really curious what Rich's Rad's opinion on this as well.
I mean, I'd have the same thing. It's really like the old school, what is it? It's like the medical weigh scale or whatever it is. I'm totally bad at description right now. My words are falling out. Because it's between TN and Panda. It really is. Like, they both had such a dominant performance on this Jet, whether there was an operator in hand or not. It is so tossed between the two. But I would probably agree with you, Bear, that looking at it, Panda did on occasions find those little bit of more cheeky and dominant plays. And I would have to agree that Panda is that individual that we can highlight.
It looks like it definitely is going to be Panda for all of the reasons that the two of you listed as we go through the highlights. What are your biggest takeaway from these Panda highlights here, Brenner?
Definitely just how much on a Jet and how he can keep the momentum flowing and keep the enemy guessing where he's going to be, whether he's aggressive or going to dash away and go for, the sniper play. And even when he swapped to the secondaries, he was getting a lot of those eliminations on top of the ults. Yes, he didn't have the TN ult of the first map where he gets a whole quad from sitting in a corner, but instead he made it up with the sniper play, with the team play, keeping his team in the fight even when they were down members. And even these long range, he only had 2 daggers left and capitalized on it. So he made his resources worth it.
That was a huge shot, and then immediately gets the elimination there, too. So the player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Credit Central is helping members achieve financial success. W Panda is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game, and honestly, that Jet play was phenomenal. Are there any last thoughts that you guys just have to get out before we end the cast tonight?
They checked their corners more.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah, they really just took the notes from the first map and did it.
They did.
Yeah.
That's why it was such a close map, is because first map they were really trying to learn it and discovered the plays of Ball State, and as soon as they did that, they started capitalizing it once the side swapped. And then map 2, it was neck and neck. It was either 1 or 2 round lead and immediately evened out again, and it just happened that Ball State got the 2 round lead when it mattered the most. So it was just all around improvement for, I would say, both teams at that.
Definitely. Boise State especially got much more dangerous as the time went on there. And so I think if these two teams faced again, I think we could definitely see a Boise State victory come out of there. And to close that out, we have our top 5 plays of the night, which are a good mix of both of the teams. And the top 5 plays are brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who is a proud supporter of Boise State esports. Top 5 plays are presented by Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out on Twitch at iGuardGaming.
Once again here, a Jeff play so far forward. TN just wanting to play so aggro up front to get these early values.
It's been working. As soon as he gets the
the paranoia. Oh no, they're not going to see it. They're not going to check the corner. They're going to be here with the daggers. It's going to be a stack full of eliminations. Gets the quad. That is paranoia now going to come through. They do have the plant available. The lockdown is still there, finally dissipating. As you get an early elimination, though, Boise State has the chance now. They've got the numbers advantage, and they have to play this perfectly. Pushing forward, they do get a collapse. Great synergy, huge
just
control.
Like that.
And actually makes it back to a 2-2.
Yeah, thankfully Boise State does have both of their ults online to try to defend here, but with how quickly Ball State was able to rotate over to that B side immediately, Hunters is going to come out and picks up 1. Dreammaker's now in a triple.
Dreammaker.
Yeah, Viperpit's lasting for a way long. Finally, J-Bag is able to take down Ian. There goes the wall. Misses all 3.
Last player standing.
Still has 2, though.
Ooh.
Gets the reset. Now has to go for the last one. Goes for the fake defuse and comes in swiftly after the recon bolt comes out.
HP. Chamber nowhere inside to help her, all the way out from the side, can't run out to try to push her. The remaining members of Boise State are just chilling at B, not even trying to help Jabal because he's got it in the bag.
Yep, has the... What a
Trouble.
shot! Okay, J-Ball, we got it. You were outplaying...
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We are here tonight to bring you some Mountain West Overwatch, featuring teams like Boise State and one of their greatest rivals, UNLV. Both teams have had some roster change-ups this semester, and tonight we will find out if they are better or for worse. I'm your host, Brenner Barrelad, and join with me to call all of the action is Colby D'Angelo Alway and Richard Rich Rad Pontillo. UNLV just finished up their match against Colorado State and came out with a victory, so they will be moving on to the finals. So now with Boise State taking on New Mexico, who do you think will come out on top?
So Boise State definitely wants to win this matchup tonight so that we can again go against UNLV. Just like you were saying before, that is one of our biggest rivals, especially in the Mountain West and in other tournaments beyond that. So we definitely want to win tonight, and it is within the realm of Boise State possibility, because the past couple times we've gone against these teams, we've been able to come out with the win. That's not saying that they couldn't do anything different tonight, but Boise State definitely has a very specific strategy that we're trying to employ so we can face UNLV this Saturday.
And Rich Red, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm just looking forward to, seeing it consecutively and how Boise State plays, because they are so dominant in this region.
Well, I was a quick look at there of what these matches are going to consist of. It is still 6v6 as we are not in Overwatch 2 yet. This will also be a best of 5 with the map order going Control, Escort, Hybrid, Assault. If we get to a map 5, it will be Control once again. And also, we can take a look at the lineup for tonight, seeing as our Overwatch roster has changed up here and there every so often. And it is going to be Matt Merck, Kel, Maxwell, Plato, Chosen, and Bagel. And of course, this lineup is brought to us by Count. Count Identity Trust Global Network gives real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and for it all, make sure to check them out at count.com.
It's the dream team right there, the Matt Merck, the Kel, the Maxwell, the Plato, the Chosen, and the Bagel. We're definitely expecting big things from them tonight, particularly from the support lineup. We always see really, really impressive things, especially if they choose to pull out the Baptiste or the Lucio.
Mm-hmm. When you end the statement with "and the Bagel," you can't ever go wrong.
Absolutely.
And of course, these players will need all the help they can get, so we'll give them Doc's keys to the game. And in Overwatch, that means to never take a fair fight. But what does that mean? Take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared. And of course, tempo, tempo, tempo. And these keys are brought to us by Drop In Gaming. Drop In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition, and whether through free or paid matches. Make sure to reach out to them by Drop In Gaming to begin your competitive gaming journey. So we are getting ready to jump into our first map, which will be Nepal map that we have seen kind of on and off, because usually it's Lijiang or Oasis. So on Nepal, what are you hoping to see from both of these teams?
Nepal is definitely the one where there's less of an ironed out strategy, if that makes any sense, because Lijiang, you're like, okay, we immediately know we're going to go sim. We're going to TP straight to the point, and that's what both teams are going to do, and it's just whoever gets there first wins the right to stay on Symmetra. But Nepal, there's a lot of different things you can run. For example, most of the maps you can run a Pharma, and we've seen that to great effect earlier in the night in our Esports Tower Overwatch that we were seeing before. So Pharah can definitely get a lot of huge value, especially if there's a Mercy Pocket, so you might see some Echo or things like that as well.
Yeah, it also has that, depending upon the map that you're on, how to play the environmental positionings, what kind of opportunities you can gain from it. You touched on to, the pharmacy, or you're going to have, the echo play. That elevated type of advantage can be really substantial. How is it that your opponent's going to play into that? How will they, opt to go for a double hit scan? Do they go for a single hit scan? Do they try and more opt in for the diva to try and capitalize on it? So there's a lot of adaptation that you can see because of those types of changes in composition that as you discussed.
Well, we are getting ready to jump into our matchup of Boise State taking on New Mexico University. Here we go.
As we do have them pushing out. I mean, honestly, I'm just looking forward to it. I got to see last time Matt Merce managed to get the, MVP play, and I'm really curious to see if they're going to continue on going into this control map, as it's us for right now, our pretty faces.
Yeah, of course.
We will just reenact. We will reenact what's happening. So they're on the point. There we go.
There we are.
As Boise State right now is going to be able to claim dominance first and manage to hold on to this quite well.
Matt Merck did end up getting the first elimination there and the last one. So, I mean, what can you say about a great tank player? And it looks like Boise State is actually going to go ahead and push into their spawn, get aggressive because they know they can, get that 100% team kill there. And because that fight was so relatively one-sided, Boise State is looking like they have a much better ultimate economy going into this next round. I expect next fight to be started off possibly with an amplification matrix Deadeye, depending on New Mexico's approach.
I mean, Plato's got the Deadeye.
Well.
That's just nutty to have in this initial control engagement. Like, fight one, you get it. TP up top, zone them back, absolutely. And Boise State's just going to throttle forward and take quick advantage of this.
And it does actually look like we have Asu in on the Baptiste and Goblin in on the Symmetra. Those are some swaps that we don't necessarily always see, but we're definitely thrilled to see them right now because Boise State, these past couple of fights, has just kind of been rolling over New Mexico. So it'll be up to New Mexico to see if they'll be able to kind of turn the tide here, maybe with their own amplification matrix.
Yeah, the biggest thing is how they're going to enter into this with the ultimates. The fact that they've got the window up top coming out here for Asu onto the back position. Night Shatter landing onto 3. The sound barrier comes out, but unfortunately it's just seconds too late to cover the Symmetra play. Yin goes down as well, and you've got Boise State just playing this so well, transitioning from that high ground position down to the low ground.
Boise State is acting before New Mexico has an opportunity to do anything, and that's ultimately what's put New Mexico in such a bad position. They're having to play purely reactionarily.
I mean, I have to pick from one of Doc's keys to the game. Tempo, tempo, tempo. And you've got
Absolutely.
Boise State just making a beat with it right now. And you're going to be able to see them now with these last 5% self-destruct onto the point to try and zone away New Mexico from even contesting against it. The Deadeye gets to take down onto the Diva before even able to get back into the mech. And now as this overtime dwindles, the team kill comes through. The bell shall toll. And that's round 1 here going to Boise State.
Boise State really wants that. That is 100-0 with just a couple of fights there, and Boise State started all of those fights on exactly their terms. New Mexico had no other option other than to try to respond to whatever Boise State was doing. If they want to turn this around and win the map, they're going to have to take their own fights and not just let Boise State set the game.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing right now is the fact that Boise State has managed to get to this position more effectively, which is quite surprising just because of, again, when you've got the Symmetra Lucio, you can get there quite quickly and contest on an even platform. But the fact that Boise State has always been the one to get the better end of it, and I think New Mexico's playing just slightly hesitant, is being a challenge for them.
New Mexico is definitely going to have to get rid of that hesitation. Even if you do the wrong thing, you definitely have to do something other than let Boise State just have their way with the fight. Oof.
Oh,
Like that.
no! Oh, the boop came through. Bagel gets it. I was so hoping that Bright Hammer was going to be able to climb that wall back to success, but unfortunately falls shy. 1-for-1 trade here, though, as it's still going to be Boise State pressing forward, aggressing onto this narrow stairway to see if they can get some damage in. Plato going to opt to go onto the Reaper this time, which I've typically more often than not seen Goblin do this. So they have looked to swap up again their composition at least a little bit in what they're comfortable with. But despite these changes, Boise State's still getting the better end of these duels.
It's Reaper Tuesday, don't you know, instead of Reaper Friday right now with Plato on that Reaper. And Boise State, with that Reaper and the Cole Cassidy, they definitely want to take fights aggressively in this room. New Mexico, I got to worry about the well-being of that Doomfist.
Oh, I'm more worrying about the well-being of that amplification matrix. They're not playing far enough forward for Boise State for you to get as much significant value with it. The immortality field comes out as well to sustain defensively into the choke point, and now there's a counter amplification matrix with how swiftly it was managed to be gained. Though, the Doomfist coming in late gets enough armor from that engagement to protect. The Meteor Strike comes just overhead and starts to clean up. We talked about the Doomfist earlier not getting value, but this time it manages to turn the tides.
Tempo, tempo, tempo is in Doc's keys to the game. And what happened there was Boise State backed up, understandably, for the amplification matrix. But then in the re-entry of the room, they didn't do that together, and they were split. And so New Mexico was able to take and win that fight.
All right, they got to slow down this Doomfist because that can't keep happening. The Earth Shatter is able to give some agency here as well to New Mexico as they press it with a sound barrier. lot committed into this so far. They've had the Earth Shatter and the Sound Barrier, but now there's nothing to withstand the Shatter, but there's actually no follow-up. Boise State comes out short. The self-destruct gets 2. The shield isn't there fast enough to cover everybody from Matt Merck, and that is going to be New Mexico. Unfortunately, managing to lose it for a short time because there was a back cap. They finally gain it back, actually. A little bit of a confusion there on who actually had it for a moment, but nice play here by Boise State to still prevent some of the percentage gain.
54-42 is looking a lot more winnable than the 100-0 from last map, so you got to give props to New Mexico for turning that around. Oof.
Death Blossom aggressively by Plato up top doesn't really get much value, but it's more so just causing harassment into the back line that doesn't allow New Mexico to gain stability. And they're going to be coming up short here with a nice killing spree here for Plato.
And that's the name of the game for Boise State right now. They don't want to let New Mexico really do anything. That's why they're taking these fights so aggressively before New Mexico is completely ready for them. However, this next fight will be a battle of the shatters, and when Farday is going to go down, that makes it pretty easy to see who's going to win that.
Yep, when your main tank gets the gray screen and goes back to spawn, that's never a good time, as there's now 10% left. A shatter that comes through that just put insult to injury. And this control map, as feisty as it's been, Boise State has continued to gain the better end of this. As I've mentioned before, throttling towards the spawn point. And that's going to be Boise State able to take this first map so far. But again, control map always has its own sort of essence and flavor. And hopefully New Mexico, when they transition out of this map type, can find a better way to compete against this Boise State team.
And as the touch spawn door challenge there, Boise State is just being so aggressive and not letting the enemy team have any time to really set up or do anything. And there were definitely bright spots there. Boise State was they got about 40% there, which is a lot closer. So we expect this next map, maybe New Mexico won't quite let Boise State do what they want as we head to Kings Row, I believe.
I mean, when it comes to really the opportunity that was finally able to be exploited, it's because Boise State over-aggressed. And again, that's not a bad thing. You want to try and keep distance for them to get back in to control the point. But when you're in these narrow corridors, especially when that Doomfist specifically in the moment that really changed the trajectory to get that percentage gain back for New Mexico, it's because they had a little bit of a better respawn. They were aggressively forward. The Immortality Field fell short for Boise State. And then the Doomfist was able to do the work that was necessary because there was no crowd control from the flashbang that could stop that momentum, allowing the throughput to come out for the Doomfist play.
Absolutely. Boise State split in that fight, and then New Mexico was able to kind of like collapse in and capitalize on that, because while the tanks caught Matt Merck out, the Doomfist was just laying waste to the entirety of the rest of the team. What do you expect going into this next map from Boise State? Like, what are some big counters to the level of aggression that Boise State is currently showing against New Mexico?
I mean, the biggest thing that comes to mind instantly, if it is confirmed Kings Row, I would say just throw a May into this. Throw something that can slow the momentum, whether it's with the ice wall or it's the slow from the primary fire, anything that can be available to you that you can try and use to your advantage and just be able to prevent Boise State from being as aggressive as they are. As we are going to be entering in onto this map, you will have Boise State defending first. So New Mexico is going to be the one to have the aggression this time around.
I don't know. Boise State's looking pretty aggressive with that Ball Diva comp there with the Doomfist Tracer, Zenyatta Brig. I think Boise State, even though they're on the defense, I think they're the ones looking to attack here.
Yeah, I call out more of their positionings at the start, but as you describe the compositions and evaluate it, you're absolutely correct. I mean, there is a little bit of a dive-centric composition here, and I really want to see some coordinated play by New Mexico. When you bring this double bubble out, plus the Genji and the Sombra, it can be super oppressive, and they get a great double takedown instantly. Plato and Maxo absolutely vaporized going into this first round. The Tracer and the Doomfist do have quick recontention on this from spawn because of their gap close, but this is going to be New Mexico taking so much advantage of this. And a Genji play that we don't get to see too often is gaining so much value.
Kurama's getting huge value on that Genji over there. Boise State wasn't ready. I gotta think at this point, after getting completely rolled over by New Mexico's double bubble variant of dive, Boise State might be time to swap and do the brawl, because you can't dive very successfully into a brawl.
Yeah, they need a little bit more control. They have to get some hard crowd control. I mean, again, the Brigitte is a really good option to this, so I mean, would like to see that stay consistent because you do get that on-demand stun, which can really prevent this Winston from escaping, the Genji, or even preventing any sort of, value from a quick EMP or a hack. But Plato trying to compete with themselves on this Genji to hopefully try and get the better end of this and catch up because they've opted to swap off of some of these roles.
Bagel's going to get that elimination on the Yin, which is huge. Asu's going to get eliminated by Farah, however. And then Kurama's going to pick one up. Matt Merck is going to pick up their healer, though. So Boise State might still be in this right now as things are looking pretty even. Maxwell's going to disengage a little bit as Plato is going to get eliminated. But with Matt Merck and Kel still on the point and in the fight, this could go the way of Boise State, except if Matt Merck and Maxwell both get eliminated there. And at this point, that's a lost fight. And you gotta wonder if Boise State is gonna stick on this because they probably shouldn't. And we see Plato swap first to that Reaper.
Yeah, there was a lot of bobbing and weaving. I mean, I like the adaptation to go in onto the dive, but unfortunately, New Mexico was just able to play it so much more proficiently, and this is now vastly different. They've got 6 ultimates, an early takedown by Plato, though, counteracting with the Reaper, which is necessary. Self-destruct online from Kel is going to be able to get it online close to the payload, but is able to hide most of it. 4 ultimates committed by New Mexico to secure that they can reach this next checkpoint, but Plato is just unleashing those Hellfire shotguns onto the back line, and Boise State come out on top, only committing 3 now with the rally finally fading.
I have to wonder what Boise State was doing the first 1.5 points of this map here, because this is that fight almost looked like a completely different team. 3 ults to 4 ultimates and still winning the fight with almost some ultimates to spare here. Where was this?
It's more so, I think, just how they've been playing the composition. The fact that they've got the Reaper to go into the Winston is a lot more significant because it's putting a lot more pressure onto Faraday, which the supports have had to be a little bit more cognizant of where their positioning is, along with their engagement. And then also now having this adaptation with Griffin going on to the Diva. They've opted away from the Zarya play because the bubble isn't really doing much. There's so much damage coming through, they can't keep Faraday alive. With 3 minutes now to go, though, you have New Mexico prepped with the CMP to find some value.
Concerned for that Zenyatta over there with the Sombra lurking with EMP. And ultimately, the EMP opportunity didn't present itself as Boise State's just going to clean that up, get those eliminations, and that's an easy 1-2 fight there as Boise State is still pushing this. And you have to think Boise State is aware that they have the EMP. So we'll see what their plan is because there's no way they're going to be able to charge Bagel's Transcendence before that EMP comes out.
Yeah, tracking is going to be significant. Nice Death Blossom to come in from over top. Stun comes through by the Brig play from Bright Hammer, but it is going to be just far too late, so they already lose the Ana. The pickup now comes in by Matt Merce to also very heavily highlight. Again, doing the worthwhile and necessary. We've seen this Wrecking Ball play from Matt Merce on multiple occasions. Last time, as I mentioned, got the MVP play, and still really doing a stellar job here today.
And I think that is Boise State's plan against the EMP, is just be so aggressive they are unable to take a fight. And that's going to be much harder to do without the Zenyatta, but they do still have Brig Rally if they should choose to use that.
I mean, the biggest thing is Yin has never really found an opportunity to get an effective EMP. You've got Boise State playing so spread. They finally look to connect, but only gets 2. Kel prevented a self-destruct, and the Reaper still deals damage in close proximity, but with the Dragon, Blade, and Nano Boost coupled together, that could give effort for New Mexico to reach this next checkpoint. Still trying to work through the health value of Kel, who is getting low, but still being topped up by the Harmony Orb. Transcendence committed late, though, by Bagel to keep Kel alive. Actually is able to do so, and what a miraculous turn of events. I feel it's a little bit of an overcommitment here by Boise State, and they're going to opt to now have to retreat because they'll lose this point.
That was definitely a lost fight, and Bagel did not necessarily need that ultimate, especially after Matt Merck was already down. That was kind of a little bit of a misplaced cue on their part. New Mexico, though, used 3 ultimates, EMP, Nano Blade, and didn't win the fight off of that, still had to fight for another 10 seconds there, which just shows incredible sustain and mobility on Boise State's part as we round this corner into the 3rd and final point.
I was just about to say I give major credit to Yin for climbing back up with the ultimate economy, but it does get picked up here by Matt, so it slows it down a little bit, but still has a massive gain. As Faraday now in the middle of the minefield tries to get the Tesla cannon damage to eliminate those, so it gives a little bit more of an open space to work with. I was petrified. I thought Faraday was falling down the pit, but manages to go to the other side of that high ground, so they will survive with the Primal Rage, but shortly after gets taken down, so this will slow the momentum of New Mexico because they've lost that really key tank front line as the D.Va attempts to try and just mitigate and support this front assistance with the Brigitte.
And now hopefully we are going to stagger the baby D.Va. We are definitely in a position to do so. That rally might end up being wasted here as Monkey is still not even in the fight yet for New Mexico.
Oh, what a pile drive into the Death Blossom. That was so well
calculated.
done. Matt Merce comes in with a big play. So many stacked up because they read it perfectly. Brighthammer had the rally active, so they needed to cluster together, especially because Griffin didn't have the mech, and that was the window for some serious opportunity.
Clean and calculated on the side of Boise State with aggression there, and honestly, that ended up cinching the fight for them.
And as we do see them try to push in, Matt Mercadante gets now a minefield for 2. Gets a minefield for 3 out of the mech.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable. Okay, there's the quad. Just give it to him. Another MVP trophy? Can we just do that? Can we just make a line for Matt Mercadante? I mean, just give him to him?
They all belong to the Boise State main tank of Matt Mercadante. They're all the players of the game, all the trophies. Fantastic execution of the mines there because they couldn't get out of that. Ball dropped the mines, and there was no way they were getting out of that.
Nope. As an EMP comes in, though, the Transcendence is still there, so that is a saving grace for Boise State. 20 seconds remaining. Part of the blade was mitigated, but the tail end of it will not be. So now they look to push the remaining segment of this to get a completion, and Boise State will have one last chance to contest.
Not quite enough of a saving grace here, as Boise State does have the bomb, so Kel does have some sustain on the point here, but at this point, Boise State just needs to madly rush into New Mexico and see what they can get, which so far, with the elimination on the Monkey, pretty big, and that looks like that's just a C9 on the side of New Mexico there. Their Monkey died, but the rest of the members just kind of scattered after losing that pivotal member.
Sorry, New Mexico. As they have to take it now, swap of sides. We'll take a look at this one last time. Pile drive into a self-destruct. They were able to manage quite a bit of it and elude, so that was more of the reason why they maneuvered away from it. So I guess we could classify it as C9. We also could be trying to be generous and say it's because they wanted to elude the self-destruct radius, but either way, it's a bad time when you don't get that completion, as now we swap sides to see what New Mexico can do on the defense. And like I commented earlier, I'd really like to see a May on this, but a Junkrat is something that is also quite enjoyable to watch on Kings Row defensively.
Absolutely, and we do have the Pharmacy that we were talking about on some of the other maps that we've seen used to great effect even earlier tonight with our esports tower. So hopefully Boise State, Maxwell, and Asu will be able to pull that out and get that Pharmacy value. However, that does leave Matt Mercadante and Kel in a little bit of a tricky position because all they will have most of the time is a Zenyatta Orb versus what looks like a true brawl comp on the side of New Mexico with that Reinhardt Zarya.
Now with the Reinhardt Zarya, we'll see how much value it can bring. I mean, I like it. The synergy's always been so potent when it comes to this type of composition, and I've got a lot of influence here that the Junkrat needs to be so valuable, but there's such a high mobility composition, and you also don't have anybody to really mitigate the Pharah. That's going to be Maxwell just having free reign because there's no hit scan. Once again, Matt comes in just with a melee, taking it down. Junkrat, doesn't matter. They're going to shut it down. And this Wrecking Ball play, once again, piece de la resistance.
Huge Wrecking Ball plays we see as we go in. Maxwell getting all the kill credit, however, with both Zenyatta and Mercy assists there. The amount of damage Boise State is just able to do right now is going to give Reinhardt, Zarya, Faraday a terrible time. As such a terrible time, they're just going to swap off and go Monkey because they're Monkey D.Va, because there's not a lot of Ryan Zarya could have done with that because Boise State was just playing far too away for them to do anything.
And if you can continue to put New Mexico into an uncomfortable position like this, this will be a quick one because, again, New Mexico didn't finish the round completed. They only were able to get to the last few meters. So this is an opportunity for Boise State to really just take advantage of this by completing the round. As you can see, some high ground positioning. Got an early pile drive into the back once again, forcing out the fade from the Moira, but the Tracer's eliminated. They've got no more harassment with this New Mexico squad. And this is just going to be a free cart push if they can continue to find value. Minefield comes out from overhead by the bookstore. Lucio clips one on the way down. Those blades are sharp, and they will even detonate the bomb. Now you've got 5 minutes to work with still, with Boise State just continuing to overwhelm New Mexico.
You're absolutely right. Boise State has New Mexico uncomfortable. They weren't expecting the hard dive comp, and so they went the Ryan Zarya, as is the normal standard here. And Boise State kind of has them on the back foot here as we just ram into them with all of the eliminations we possibly can. We see the ball pushing up. We see the Pharma pushing up. The Tracers also there. New Mexico is going to have to get through 4 members of Boise State before they can even think about touching the point.
Oh no, Pulse Bomb aggressively up front to prevent the D.Va from getting any additional value. Baby D.Va looks to flee, getting the assistance. At this point, they're just trying to keep them alive. I give major credit for the comp to keep Griffin in this fight to remech, but unfortunately they lose a support. A Rocket Barrage comes in for assistance. Kel even eats the counter Pulse Bomb to slow their opportunity for recovery down just under a meter to go. And that's another aggressive pusher by Boise State. Okay, come on. I was going to say taking it, but they're at 0.01. Please don't do this to me. It's okay. I'm going to lie. I lied. They aren't going to take it right now. Please!
They're
Please just give it.
definitely
There it is.
working on it there. That was a little bit of a caster's curse they're going to take. Are they going to take it? I don't know. It's going to be an extra 7 seconds here as they get that elimination onto Kurama. But Plato is also eliminated by Yin just in the battle of the Cole Cassidy versus Tracer. But it looks like they will be res. So Boise State is sitting at a full 6.
And that's so valuable when you bring the Mercy into the composition. The fact that you don't have Maxwell anymore onto the Pharah, it doesn't matter. You get that recovery ability with this Mercy res, and now you can just see with these final meters continuing to dwindle, somebody from New Mexico's got to get onto the point. They deny the touch here for a small margin, and they continue to do so, and the Minefield's even zoned it out. Primal Rage has to be forced out by Faraday because the Pulse Bomb came in, and they're discorded. The damage is being so high. New Mexico, unfortunately, unable to ever gain their bearings to compete against Boise State. I mean, this was just an overall downright dominant performance here, and have to give major credit. And again, it was more so not that New Mexico, I think, played badly in this. It was just they never came back really as a full 6 to get any sort of recovery potential on really either map.
Boise State didn't give them any opportunity to do any of that, especially on Kings Row. It was a little bit more counterable on Nepal, at least, because they got to the point, they got some of the percentage there. But on Boise State's attack, they just went in first fight with the Pharma that was completely uncontested and then kept going, pushed hard as they possibly could, left a single person on cart, and then everybody else, their job was just to int as hard as they possibly could and get as many eliminations as possible before, so that New Mexico could never really reset with 6 people.
And now as we do look to see what our final map will be, it is going to be Havana. And we do have Boise State here on this defensive side to start, with New Mexico again in a position to really set the boundary. So we would like to see them be able to complete this map, but Havana is one of those where it is actually very challenging to get through that final stretch after working your way through the distillery.
When Havana was first released, there was not an Overwatch League team that actually managed to cap 0.3, so it is super, super rare for anybody at all to cap, and especially at the collegiate level, we don't often see third-point caps. So New Mexico definitely fighting an uphill battle here, as all the members of Boise State are spread about the sight lines, but still able to see and help each other, as that dive is going to get set up there with 3 of the members all collapsing in at once. They will be unable to find anything, however. They're just kind of doing some poke right now. We'll find Ian.
Yeah, multi-prong attack has been very helpful for Boise State right now. They've really just swarmed New Mexico around this payload. You commented earlier, Yin went down early just because of Boise State's opportunity.
Oh,
but
no.
with a couple of eliminations on Boise, because they've got the long spawn, they need to be cautious here. Kel should digress back with Matt giving some assistance, which they're doing really well, and already almost has another minefield.
The level of coordination that Boise State is currently displaying for everybody playing separate but together, if that makes any sense, like physically split, but they're all doing things together. And it does look like both Boise State DPS are back in the fight as they're going to go ahead and eliminate Yin again. And Matt Mercedante is going to get the elimination on Kurama there as the ball on Hanzo, and it looks like Plato's just looking for that Reinhardt. Ball's going to go ahead and take that, and Boise State is still set up here. And just like you said, Kel backed up, and Ball covered him, and they did a fantastic job on that Sigma and the Ball of making sure that Kel made it out of that, especially with just Briggs and Yada healing. Rotation is key.
I can just hear them right now from Boise State being just like, my, oh my, what a wonderful day. And how they're feeling for this third map of Havana. It's a sunny day outside, and their spirits are high as they've got a Dragon Blade ready for this. They've got the Transcend, it's Pulse Bomb, and even almost a Flux. They're just going to go in with it. Dash onto the support line, eliminating the Lucio. They've lost their utility. The Discord onto the Winston, attempting to pick him out mid-air, and will gain it, and now once again push to this control point, or it feel like it's the doorway from control point. Correction.
Touch the spawn door challenge. Boise State is trying to complete there. Plato going up, peeking the Widowmaker. Widowmaker is a decent swap here, just trying to get some of the picks of people that are playing split, but they will be unable to find anything because the members of Boise State scouted that out and backed up accordingly. I cannot emphasize enough how on point all of Boise State's rotations and movement are.
I really need Griffin to find value with the self-destruct, but unfortunately you're just going to consistently see the Winston play go down. Again, Chosen has been so prone to focus that Discord onto Faraday, and the focus fire onto it has made it so much more challenging. And anybody that tries to recover, it's always either Matt or Kel that are there to just continue this perplexity to the play and make it so much more challenging for New Mexico to ever recover.
And that is where Chosen on the Zenyatta truly shines, is the ability to just terrorize tanks. That is what Zenyatta and Chosen themselves just do best over there. And Boise State, things are looking pretty scuffed for New Mexico here with 40 seconds remaining, and only 2 of their own ultimates to Boise State's 3, almost 6, honestly, here. That's about 3 a fight that Boise State could currently use.
30 seconds remaining.
Now on the dive in, Faraday is desperately in need of this primal rage. Once again, hyper-focused onto the Discord orb, but Plato already gets a dash reset onto the back. Both supports eliminated. This is disaster for New Mexico. There is no way for you to recover. The ultimates are being committed more so right now in desperation versus confident succession. And they will just have to keep this in contest until the supports can get back to point. But they're not going to be able to do anything. Griffin goes down, can't remech. Overtime will dwindle. Even though there is some more contention, there's no way New Mexico comes back from this.
Chosen did end up finally getting eliminated, but with the blade coming out, excuse me, that will be a little too late for New Mexico here, and it looks like their final cart position is going to be just barely around this first corner as Boise State's going to complete that first round.
Dominant performance. Just really, really well done here. And again, New Mexico, it's more so that what's happening is this Discord orb from the Zenyatta play has absolutely just devastated their frontline Winston play. They have to make some kind of adaptation here. They need to really change up potentially this front line so Chosen doesn't continue to focus fire Faraday, who really more often than not isn't in the fight for more than about 10 seconds. Like, they're basically there and then gone.
Yep, Faraday on the Monkey is basically a 200 HP hero with how that Discord orb is focused and how Chosen himself is just hard focusing the Monkey. That is what Zenyatas do best. They terrorize the main tank, and nobody on New Mexico is able to give Faraday the support that they need because Boise State is disrupting everybody else so hard. they've got their own problems. They can't necessarily appeal for their main tank. And because of the cart position, New Mexico's one shot here is just a close hold and see what they can do.
Yeah, this is such a weird position to be in because of the cart's positioning. If it was a little bit more forward, I would 100% say play close to doors because you'll get the reset. But because it's in this really, really just uncomfortable position between where you can get a full reset if you do wipe, you're not comfortable to have a full 6-stack. So they have to play this back further and can't afford to play up to the doors.
And it does look like no matter what they do, they really only get one clean wipe. Regardless of whether it's at the doors or at this corner, they can't afford to completely wipe because then Boise State will get the point to its destination, especially here. So it doesn't really matter where they hold, even as they fall back to this second corner. If they lose 6 members, they're done, and that's map.
I mean, New Mexico has done really well with their composition and what they've brought out here. I like it. Oh, no! Faraday gets blown up. Chosen pops the Discord. All the damage comes through, and the main tank once again is gone. The push comes to a shove. The shove comes to a massive, overwhelming. That is going to be Boise State moving on into the championship round for this semifinals. And I mean, goodness me, they've done it with a finesse.
And Boise State's feeling good about that win that got them into the championships, and now they get to face UNLV, one of their longtime rivals. Boise State is the winner off the back of some truly amazing team-coordinated aggression.
And I mean, from what we've seen already for this 2022 Overwatch standings for Mountain West, Boise State has been in the top. They've not really ever dropped. They've stayed consistent in their winning streak. And now, as you mentioned, going against UNLV, their real competitor, it's going to be a bloodbath between the two of them moving forward going into this championship. And I cannot wait to see what that's going to look like in days to come.
Well, to help close things out for the night, your top player of the game, because from my understanding of the match, it was between Matt Merck and Chosen on those two sides. Yeah. So your opinions, let's start with you, Rich.
I mean, I gotta say, it's so hard. We find ourselves in one of those moments again, like where it was you and I for Valorant, but now we're talking about Overwatch, where it's like the tip of the scale. I gotta say that Chosen, at least for what they brought compositionally wise, that's why I would choose them. But same thing for, again, Matt, Mercadante, again, with their Wrecking Ball play. It really could go either way. I would say Chosen to try and differentiate because we know how vital Matt is just on the Wrecking Ball, period.
And D'Angelo?
I think if it's not Chosen, it will be because there weren't enough Zenyatta perspectives as he was clicking all those heads, if that makes any sense. Because they were definitely, heads were definitely being clicked by Chosen there throughout all of the maps, and especially with the utility that Discord Orb brings. If it's not Chosen, I have to just wonder if we just didn't have the clips for it. And it looks like it's actually going to come up and be Play-Doh, who we unfairly forgot about our guy on the Reaper Tuesday there, with Play-Doh getting phenomenal value on the Reaper, because that Reaper swap was actually one of the first initial things that stopped New Mexico from getting aggressive back at Boise State.
And again, it's one of those things where I think we kind of get a little lost in the mix of when we look at the kill feed and see, you know, of course, the faces light up and who is there most frequently. But I would definitely agree. Play-Doh, you know, reevaluating it and looking at what they've brought, their Genji play was very superior, finding a lot of resets into the backline, harassing, again, this aggressive Dragon play, but also even what we saw, you know, when it came to King's Row. That was another position where there was still, even though they weren't, let's say, the top person in the kill feed that they're getting these takedowns, their overall contribution to these engagements for the throughput of the team of Boise State was quite substantial.
Well, Play-Doh is the player of the game, which is brought to us by the Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful. For our Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success, Play-Doh is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. Well, we're going to close out tonight with the top 5 brought to us by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills to the next level with more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 sign-on bonus. The Idaho Army National Guard is the best team to join out there. Make sure to reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming and enjoy your top 5 plays.
on who actually had it for a moment, but nice play here by Boise State to still prevent some of the percentage gain.
54-42 is looking a lot more winnable than the 100-0 from last map, so you got to give props to New Mexico for turning that around. Oof.
Dead Blossom aggressively by Plato up top. Doesn't really get much value, but it's more so just causing her around who actually had it for a moment, but nice play here by Boise State to still prevent some of the percentage gain.
54-42 is looking a lot more winnable than the 100-0 from last map, so you got to give props to New Mexico for turning that around. Oof.
Dead Blossom aggressively by Plato up top. Doesn't really get much value, but it's more so just causing her. Never really found an opportunity to get an effective EMP. You've got Boise State playing so spread. They finally look to connect, but only gets 2. Kel prevented a self-destruct, and the Reaper still deals damage in close proximity, but with the Dragon, Blade, and Nano Boost coupled together, that could give effort for New Mexico to reach this next use of support. A Rocket Barrage comes in for assistance. Kel even eats the counter Pulse Bomb to slow their opportunity for recovery down just under a meter to go. And that's another aggressive pusher by Boise State. Okay, come on. I was going to say taking it, but they're at 0.01. Please don't. And
there it
is gone. The push comes to a shove. The shove comes to a massive overwhelming. That is going to be Boise State moving on into the championship round for this semifinals. And I mean, goodness me, they've done it with a finesse.